It's the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Arizona Diamondbacks in first place, battling the playoff hopeful Philadelphia Phillies. The D-backs 3.5 games ahead of the Giants in the National League West. Back east, the Phillies just 4 games out of the wild card behind the Braves, 5.5 games behind the Mets, and everybody in baseball saying of this Philly team, who are these guys?
We win some crazy games, and it makes you a little nervous, but they're not afraid. It's been a lot of fun. Our lineup is relatively young. Guys like Abreu and Glanville and Brony and Roland and Lieberthal, but they're good. And I think people around the National League are starting to realize that, too. They know how to play.
Hello again, everybody, along with the former Major League manager, Jeff Torborg. Chip Caray, welcome to Philadelphia. And, Jeff, how about this Phillies ball club? They're in third place in the National League East, a surprising bunch. And as a former manager, this must have been a great group to try to manage in the big leagues.
Oh, I would think so. They have so much fun. And Terry mentioned crazy wins.
Right.
Well, last night was another one. They have so much contribution coming off the bench. You've got Domingo Cedeno, who wasn't even with this ball club earlier in the year, winning the game in the 11th inning with a 2-run home run. And it's an amazing ball club the way they win.
Yeah, the Phillies building for the future, but still have a shot at the playoffs this season. But for the Arizona Diamondbacks, their opponent today, the future is clearly right now. As the Beatles would have said, money can't buy you love, Jeff, but it sure can buy you a pennant, and that's what Arizona's trying to do this year.
Well, they've got good character in this ball club, veteran presence in Matt Williams and Jay Bell, who came off of bad years last year to have good years this year, but they have an entire new outfield. And when you have a year like Luis Gonzalez in left field, Steve Finley in center field, Tony Womack in right field, they have been unbelievable.
And Randy Johnson won't go today, went last night. Another great game for Randy, but a no decision today. It's Andy Bennis's turn to try to right the ship. He'll be opposed by Philadelphia ace and Cy Young candidate Curt Schilling, who pitches for the first time in 15 days because of tendonitis and his wife's health problems. It's Bennis and Schilling on a hot day at the vet. Glad you're with us as the Phillies try to take the bite out of the D-backs right after this. Philadelphia, a partial sellout on hand for the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. Andy Bennis against Curt Schilling. Game time weather here in Philadelphia. It's gorgeous. 83 degrees, low humidity, a bit of a breeze. Good forecast, very high, puffy clouds overhead, and very little chance of rain today. And for the Philly fans, Jeff Torborg, they're delighted to see Curt Schilling back in the starting rotation. Schilling has not pitched in 15 days for the Phillies. He's had some elbow problems, some shoulder tendonitis. And even more importantly, Curt's wife, Shonda, is in the hospital with a blood clot. They're expecting their third child. Everything apparently is okay, but quite obviously, Curt Schilling the last couple of weeks has had an awful lot to deal with his health and his family's health on his mind.
Everything I've ever done is geared towards every fifth day and being right and being the best. And it's the only release you have for all the work and the commitment you put in. And having said that, I'm human. And the game doesn't take away the emotions and the feelings of what's really important to everybody. And it doesn't take something like this that has happened in my family for me to realize how lucky we realize every day how lucky we are. I have a healthy wife and healthy kids, and another healthy one right now on the way. But times like this make you realize how lucky who you have.
So, Jeff Torborg, the question is, which Curt Schilling will we see? Will there be any signs of rust from a man who's been a consummate professional on that mound for the Philadelphia team?
Well, there might be. When you look at his numbers, he was pitching very well when he started to have this tendonitis, but that long off, you don't know whether he's going to have his good command. He's a consummate power pitcher, and it means that sometimes a power pitcher does not have the regular command that a finesse pitcher would. So we don't know what we're going to see. He looked very tired yesterday when we were talking to him. He's had a lot on his mind, as he's mentioned. So we'll have to see what he does.
Well, here's the starting lineup for the Diamondbacks. And their manager, Buck Showalter. It's brought to you by Budweiser. Tony Womack leads it off in right field. Jay Bell, a career year at second base. Luis Gonzalez had a 30-game hit streak, you recall, earlier this season. MVP candidate Matt Williams at third. Steve Finley in center field. Rubio Durazo out of the Mexican League, starting for a slumping Travis Lee. Andy Fox, the shortstop. Kelly Stinnett, the catcher, and Andy Bennis pitches, bats ninth against ace right-hander Curt Schilling, who seeks his 15th win of the year and tries to join Hampton, Bottenfield, and Jose Lima as National League 15-game winners.
Well, as you look at his scouting report, you're looking at a big man, 6'4", 230 pounds. Really rides a fastball up in the zones, got a curveball, hard slider, uses a split finger as a changeup, and normally has excellent control.
Tony Womack in the batter's box. He's the Arizona leadoff man in right field, and we're underway. with a ball low. Joe West is our home plate umpire. Larry Vanover at first, C.B. Bucknor at second, Angel Hernandez the arbiter over at third. And Womack pops it out of play, and the count evens up at a ball and a strike. Today's broadcast is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP or SAP button on your television. One ball, one strike to Womack, who slaps it out of play. What a pickup this guy has been for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 48 steals and 54 tries atop that offensive lineup.
You know, I didn't know what to expect from Tony with his going over and trying to play a new position in the outfield, but he's taken to it, become a very good outfielder as well.
Popped out of play again by Womack.
See, what he's doing right now is what you love to see your prototypical leadoff hitter do. Slap the ball around, go deep in the count, let the hitters after you see what the pitcher has, and also make the pitcher work a little bit trying to get on that base.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Womack just a .327 on base percentage. You'd like to see that a little higher for a leadoff man, but when this guy gets on, it's usually a double. He'll walk and steal, or single and steal. He'll slap it to the hole. That's going to be a tough play for Cedeno, and it's an infield hit for Womack.
Well, as you just say, slap it to the hole. That's exactly what he did. With his speed, there's no chance of throwing him out from that deep in the hole. You're looking at one of the better defensive teams in the National League, ranked second. Lieberthal, an outstanding receiver behind the plate. His whole game's coming together. Throwing, blocking the balls in the dirt, handling the pitching staff, and a quiet leader. Gold glove type guy at first base, gold glove type guy at third base and in center field. You're talking about a very good ball club defensively.
And the defense of Mike Lieberthal will be tested early here with Womack aboard and Jay Bell in the batter's box. And he takes the ball high, says Joe West. 1 ball, no strikes. Again, Womack, 48 stolen bases. And he'll try to move into scoring position for Bell, Gonzalez, and company in a very close play at first.
Well, Curt Schilling is an outstanding athlete. He's a good fielder. Obviously, we know how hard he throws and what kind of competitor he is, but he also is quick to first base, and he'll vary his holds of the ball on the mound to try to nullify the possible stolen base. But Tony Womack's got a tremendous lead. Anytime on artificial turf you see a base runner get his right foot up on the out of the dirt up onto the carpet, you know he's got a good lead. Well, he's moved off. He's got almost an entire foot onto that carpet.
Not going, and there's a drive. Belted deep down the left field line. It's a 2-run homer by Jay Bell. His 29th of the year, and Curt Schilling falls behind 2-0 here in the first. This is what we were wondering about. Will it be rest or rust? An infield hit and a long homer by Bell puts the Diamondbacks in front.
Well, we were talking about Curt not having been out there in over 2 weeks, and he's a fastball pitcher. He will give up home runs because he throws a straight fastball. You can see where that pitch was. Jay Bell jumps on the ball in the middle of the plate, actually a little bit to the inside, and hits it out of the ballpark. Now, a lot of that credit goes to Tony Womack being on first base. You get a good base runner, can cause things like that to happen.
Luis Gonzalez takes the ball. 2-0 Arizona. Nobody out in the top of the first. The Diamondbacks with their 144th home run this year. That ball smacked down the left field line. That's going to be trouble. That's high off the wall. Gonzalez on his way to second. A single, a homer, and a double here in the first.
Well, there are times that power pitchers will have trouble in the first inning anyway, but you can see this is not a bad pitch. It's on a good spot of the plate, but maybe a little bit too high. But remember, Luis Gonzalez has been red hot, and he can hit the other ball, the ball the other way beautifully. Almost hits that ball out of the ballpark. That was high on the wall.
His 32nd two-base hit of the year. He stands at second. And now Matt Williams, the batter. He's third in the league with 93 runs batted in. Williams at .311 with 24 homers as well, asks for and receives time from Joe West.
Well, there's another thing, too. Remember, when the leadoff hitter gets on right away, the pitcher ends up in the stretch position. And if you haven't been out there in a while, and you might not be on your command, and adrenaline is flowing differently than when you're throwing on the side. Now immediately you're in the stretch position, and that is not your most powerful position to pitch out of because you don't have the same rhythm. Also, when you have the speedy base runner on first, you've got Curt Schilling, even though he's a veteran, concerned about that speed, so maybe his command's off a little bit and doesn't throw the ball on the plate where he wants it.
Williams had a good cut, fouled it straight back for strike one. Everybody looked a little weary this morning. A long game last night. An 11-inning affair won by the Phillies 4-2. Arizona playing its 19th extra inning game already this year. That's the most in baseball.
Well, there's something about playing extra inning games because it gives you that experience that you've been there. As you see the RBI leaders, and Matt Williams is having an outstanding second year in Arizona, 4th in the league in RBIs. This guy can really crush a ball, mistake in the middle of the plate.
Chopper hit towards Scott Rowland at third. Williams will be retired. And there's out number one here in the first. And a somewhat sarcastic cheer from the crowd here at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. These folks are tough here. They'll boo Santa Claus for crying out loud. One man away.
Well, that's been the comment about the Philly fans. They're also adamant fans. They're good fans when they get behind their ball club. But they're booing just a little bit today. They're not happy with the Diamondbacks jumping on the ace of the staff so quickly. But Steve Finley steps in. Here's another guy who's had a solid year. Started off slowly, but has started to really tear up the cover off the ball.
Hitting .264 is Finley, 21 homers. He's driven home 74 Arizona teammates. And that's what Jeff was talking about. Last week, he's been red hot. A strike call.
You know what, Buck Showalter, the manager of the Diamondbacks, has been so pleased about his club, about the character he has. That's what they went out there to get, charactered people, not characters. But you take Steve Finley, he's playing with a bulging disc in his back, and yet he's out there every day.
That one skips up there. Nice stop by Lieberthal. What a play he made to hold Gonzalez at second.
Boy, you're not kidding with this one. This is one of those do-or-die plays. This ball's thrown so hard, and look how wild it is. Lieberthal just he doesn't even backhand the ball. He slides to his right and just tries to shovel the ball in front of him. That is a terrific play.
Lieberthal's gone 73 games without an error. And another good pickup. What's the fundamental play that catcher has to make in order to knock a ball down like Schilling's?
You have to keep your head down. Whenever the ball goes down in the dirt, remember, you call for the pitch and you give the location, but you're never sure where it's going to go. But if it goes in the dirt, you push your head down toward it.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
Because if you don't push your head down and you kind of pull your head off a little bit, the ball hits off your body, scoots to the side. He dove his head down, slid over to the right, and then just kind of shoveled the ball out with his glove hand. And you have very little time to react. Remember, there's a fear factor here, injury factor. Somebody throwing a ball that hard could tear your glove off.
3-2, ground ball right side. Marlon Anderson to his left. And Finley is retired. Gonzalez to third now with 2 men out. So Schilling perhaps starting to settle down, and he takes his first pick at young Arubio Durazo, the young slugger out of the Mexican League and the Arizona farm system. He's playing because Travis Lee is not hitting. At one point, Lee was 0 for 30, and Lee has gone homerless since June 7th when he hit 2 against the Cubs at the Bank One ballpark. That's amazing.
It really is, because he is a kid. Last year, watching him, first year in the major leagues, had come through the minor leagues so fast, had a beautiful swing. But they say this kid can really hit too.
Upstairs to him for ball 1.
And he's a big one. He's a 6'4", over 230 pounds, closer to 240, and was just tearing the cover off the ball in the minor leagues.
The 1-0 with a runner at third. It's outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Durazo, born and resides in Hermosillo, Mexico. Went to Amphitheater High School in Tucson, Arizona. Went to Pima Community College in Tucson as well. And the Diamondbacks purchased his contract from the Mexican League in December of last year. And he hits a rope into center field. That's going to drop in front of Glanville for an RBI single, the second in the big leagues for Durazo. And the Phillies now trail it 3-0 here in the top of the first. Well, Durazo has been a good hitter throughout his minor league career, and you'll see this fastball
Actually, that's more of a breaking ball that was going down, and he went down and got it. I thought when I first looked at it, it was straight. It wasn't. And the book on him is to throw him a lot of breaking balls. Well, Curt Schilling has a straight downer breaking ball, and he went down and got it. Hit it in the right center field for an RBI.
So 3 runs in for the D-backs here in the first for Andy Fox. Broken bat pop to Scott Rowland at third, and the inning is over. 3 runs, 4 hits. A Jay Bell 2-run homer. The big blow, and after a half inning, it's Arizona by 3. Phillies are second, and here's the Phillies Budweiser starting lineup with Doug Glanville leading things off. Rob Ducey in left, Bobby Abreu in right. What a player that guy is. Scott Rowland, a future MVP, is at third base. Rico Bronya at first, Mike Lieberthal behind the plate. Marlon Anderson, Domingo Cedeno, and Curt Schilling, the pitcher, makes up Terry Francona's lower third batting order.
Andy Bennis, another big right-hander, 6'6", 245. His numbers are not at all good. When you see that number of innings pitched and that many more hits, 150 hits and 130 and 2/3 innings, not good. His scouting report indicates that his fastball is down in velocity. He's at 89 or 90 now. He used to be in the mid-90s. Throws a hard slider, a slurve-type curveball, meaning a great big kind of 2-angle curveball. Throws a split finger as a changeup. But he has been struggling, giving up 25 home runs. He pitches up in the strike zone and gets tattooed at times.
Well, this is a Philadelphia team, Jeff, that doesn't hit an inordinate number of home runs, but they've got a lot of balance in the middle of that order. They have 4 players with 15 or more homers in the lineup today. And Doug Glanville, their spark plug at the top of the order, 6th in the National League and hitting at .330, 8 homers, 58 runs batted in. And folks, don't go anywhere. The top 2 National League offenses going toe-to-toe again today in Philadelphia. 3 runs might be not enough to win this game in cozy Veterans Stadium.
You look at the batting leader board, and when you see 2 of your hitters in the top 6, you know you've got something that can score some runs with. And
Glanville almost beat the play at first. Bennis tagged him out, didn't beat him to the bag, and there's out number 1.
Boy, you're not kidding. That was a foot race. Remember, the big right-hander Bennis has got to get over to first base on this play, and Durazo was waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's a good thing that Bennis was able to make the tag because Glanville almost ran right by him. Doug Glanville can fly out of that right-handed batter's box.
And if Doug had a mind to slide, he might have been able to surprise everybody and beat the rap. But Bennis got there an eyelash in time, and Glanville's retired here in the bottom of the first. For Rob Ducey, playing left field today for Ron Gant, who had a dramatic 2-run homer last night against the big unit, Randy Johnson. Swing and a miss.
Well, Ducey's another one of those bench guys that has contributed so much. Ron Gant, whom he's replacing, was a hero yesterday, tied the game with a big 2-run home run. Ron Gant has come over here from the Cardinals and done some job. His manager, Terry Francona, says he can't believe the kind of defense he's playing every day.
And I can't believe how well he's flourished in the number 2 spot in the batting order here. Ripped foul and out of play.
You know, that's interesting
1 and
what
2.
you say about the number 2 spot in the batting order. Remember, Jay Bell hit a home run batting number 2 in the D-backs order. Ron Gant batting number 2 in the Phillies order normally, and that's not what the number 2 hitters used to be. They used to be guys that could hit the ball to right field.
High pop by Ducey down the left side. Williams, Fox, and Gonzalez converge, and it's into the seats, and Ducey stays alive. Here is the Arizona defense. Jeff touched on the outfield stars in Gonzalez, Finley, and Womack. Finley, a 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. Travis Lee not in the lineup today. Jay Bell, Matt Williams, longtime Major League fixtures, and the Diamondbacks have been raving about their play behind the plate by Kelly Stinnett. 1-2 to Ducey, the pitch. Evens the count.
You know, to get back to the number 2 spot in the order, when you used to make a lineup out, it used to be you'd like to get a leadoff hitter who can run. The number 2 hitter could hit behind the runner, hit it to right field, and then the number 3 hitter be your best hitter. As the ball's fouled back, be the best hitter who could run, the power hitter being 4. Well, you're starting to see some changes. Derek Jeter, for example, is the number 2 hitter and has been most of the year for the Yankees. He's got over 20 home runs. There's your number 2 hitters, which would normally be for these 2 teams, are 2 of their power hitters. So you see the makeup of the lineup a little bit differently.
Well, Kent with 12 homers, 54 driven in for the Phillies. Jay Bell, obviously a much better year. He's at 29 of them. 21 was his career high. He loves the desert. Ripped right back up the middle. A base hit by Rob Ducey. 1 on, 1 out. And for a game break, let's go back to Keith Olbermann in our Fox Network Center. Hello, Keith.
Hi, Chip. Not the best of starts for Terry Mulholland of the Braves this afternoon. Charlie Hayes scores Marvin Bernard easily, but then check out the throw as they try to get F.P. Santangelo. Hello. He should be dead meat, but Greg Myers dropped the ball, and Santangelo pulls it into reverse, scores the second run. Giants are finally out in the top of the first. The bottom one is 3-0. Chip.
Keith, thank you very much. What has happened to the Atlanta Braves? Atlanta is now a game and a half behind the Mets, who are for real, folks. That is an outstanding ball club that Bobby Valentine has inherited in New York. Ball 1 to Bobby Abreu. The Braves atop the wild card perch, but it's a very precarious first place position. The Reds a game back. The Phillies are 4 back. Cincinnati, however, only 2 behind Houston in the National League Central. That's another surprising National League story this year. 1-0 to Abreu, and Pettis misses low. It's 2-0. Abreu is third in the National League in hitting at .341, 15 homers and 60 RBIs.
You're talking about the Braves. One of the big things is the major injuries. They started out losing Galarraga, but then when you lose your key personnel behind the plate, Javi Lopez, you got some problems. Then you lose a starting pitcher. I mean, there are a lot of clubs, and there are no excuses. You know, you say you can't use injuries as excuses, but they are a matter of fact. And the Braves have been hit just dramatically in their offensive, in their lineup, where it really hurts them offensively.
Galarraga's out. Lopez out. Walt Weiss has been hurt most of the year again for the Atlanta team. Brian Jordan has had a few problems, but early in the season when Maddox and Glavine were not nearly as effective as everyone expected them to be, they weren't able to build that big lead. John Smoltz has had some elbow problems. John Schuerholz traded for Terry Mulholland and Jose Hernandez to try to help fill a couple of gaps. Right now, the Braves fighting for their lives, which is something that hasn't happened down there in the last 6 or 7 years.
You know, the one thing that keeps coming back to, we were talking about the character of this veteran team, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Well, the Braves know how to win. They know what it takes to win, and they've got major character with an outstanding manager. Now, they might struggle, but at the end, they're going to be there. I really believe it.
3-1. It's low, ball 4. I think those are adjectives you can use to describe both of these teams, too. 2 very good managers, Buck Showalter, Terry Francona, and 2 very good teams who are at the opposite ends of the age spectrum, but could be playoff opponents if everything goes right for both of them in the last 8 weeks of this season.
Well, that's very true, and that's why a lot of general managers would rather have a young team, because you avoid injuries more with a younger team. You have a youthful exuberance. And for an example, here's a sample of a kid, a young, very talented young player who's struggled part of the year this year. His back has been bothering him, but he's still an MVP candidate type of player. He just comes to play, and he doesn't want to be known as the leader. He wants to be one of the guys, but he's a tough kid.
Roland, the 1997 Rookie of the Year, looks at ball 1. He's 5 for 15 lifetime against Andy Bennis. He's their team leader with 25 home runs. And only 24 years of age. They signed him up through the year 2001. Roland with 25 homers. Bennis has given up 25. The pitch is lined into the seats, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. What a last couple of years this man has put together for the Phillies. Nobody's going to ever fill the shoes of Mike Schmidt, the Hall of Fame third baseman for these Phillies. But Scott Rowland someday might be able to put up Mike Schmidt-like numbers when his career is done.
That's a pretty good start to look at those numbers. And here, as we say, he's playing with a bad back, but still playing and still putting up big numbers.
1-1 pitch inside. 2 balls and a strike.
You know, it tells me a story about Scott Rowland is when he got hit a couple of times by Hideo Nomo, he went over and knocked on the Dodger clubhouse door, called Nomo out, and said, "This is enough." I guess when you're 6'5", 225 pounds, you can do that.
That's right. The pitch. Breaking ball, pulled foul past John Vukovic, fine third base coach of the Phillies. who's kind enough to be wearing our Sounds of the Game microphone today for Philadelphia. Hopefully we'll hear a few of his pearls of wisdom from today's ball game at Veterans Stadium. Yeah, this guy doesn't look like he's the kind of guy that takes a whole lot of guff from anybody. 2-2. The pitch. Struck him out with a breaking ball, and Rolen goes down swinging. Big second out for Andy Bennis.
Now this is that 79-mile-an-hour curveball. See how it kind of goes down? It's slurvish. It's big. And it was a perfect pitch. Scott Rolen couldn't lay off that pitch. That was right on the outside corner.
But a tougher test for him for the moment. A left-hand batter, Rico Brogna, hitting .278. He's got 15 homers and 66 driven in. 2 on, 2 out, and the breaking ball is in for a strike one call.
This guy, to me, is one of the most underrated players in baseball, not just the National League. A very talented glove man with a potent bat, uses the whole field, and he's done it through health problems.
He's got a degenerative spinal condition. There are some who wondered how durable he would be playing every day on the artificial surface. He's been very durable. A great glove over at first. And talk is they're going to try to extend this guy's contract, and I think he'd like to stay. The pitch in the dirt. Good stop, Stinnett. It's 2-1.
I remember when Rico Brogna signed, and you can see what he's done his last 3 games. He's been red hot. Signed out of Connecticut, and one of the national sports shows had something on about the fact that he was one of the #1 picks. Then you didn't see him for a number of years. And he was traded from the Detroit organization over to the Mets, and he really came of age there, where he showed people what he could do. Very popular on a ball club, too.
3 balls, 1 strike. 3-0 Diamondbacks. Brogna with an RBI in 8 straight games. Looks for one here. The pitch. Way out in front. It's full 3-2. Bennis got away with a pitch there. That thing was up in Rico's eyes, and he missed it.
That was that high split that he uses as a changeup. Mark Connor, the pitching coach, said they are trying to cut down the velocity of Bennis's changeup. He was throwing it too hard. Throwing it in the low 80s, I should say, which is a little too hard, and that was 79.
Runners go. The pitch is low. Bases loaded now for the backstop, Mike Lieberthal. Second walk for Bennis of the inning. This one comes with 2 men out. It loads him up for the #6 hitter in the Philadelphia lineup, Mike Lieberthal, and he's having a great year. It's taken Lieberthal a little while to finally stay healthy. Missed a lot of the 1996 campaign with a torn meniscus in his knee. 1997 had a pelvic stress reaction. This year he's been great. Look at those numbers for an everyday catcher in the big leagues. The pitch is popped up into shallow right. Womack comes in and puts it away, and Bennis strands the bases loaded in the first. After 1, it's 3-0 Diamondbacks. 2-run homer by Jay Bell. A 2-out single by rookie Arubio Durazo against Kurt Schilling. And Kelly Stinnett swings at the first pitch and pops it up on the left side of the infield. Who wants it? Scott Rolen's got it. 1 pitch, 1 out in our second inning. Next week on the Budweiser Game of the Month, we'll put you in the action with Fox's Sounds of the Game when the Phillies clash with the Reds as they both battle for playoff position. Plus other great regional action. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern and Pacific within the zone, followed by the E-Trade pregame show. Check your local listings for the game and the time in your area. Here's Andy Bennis, and he looks at a strike from Schilling. No balls and a strike. Bennis hitting .114. He does have a home run. And he is the elder of the 3 Bennis pitching brothers. Andy, Alan, and Adam Bennis.
How about the size of these guys? Every one is at
Well, they
least
grow them
6
big
times
over in
as big.
Evansville, Indiana, for crying out loud.
At least in that family they do.
1-1. It's now 1-2.
He takes a pretty good swing. He hit a home run off of Jose Lima in a win against Houston this year. I don't think he's going to catch up to this fastball that Curt Schilling is throwing now. Curt looks like with that pop-up to start this inning, he's starting to get the feel of the pitches.
Oh, comebacker speared by Schilling. What a play. 2 down. Well, if the morning cup of coffee won't get your attention, a play like this will.
I didn't think he'd catch up to one, and he hits it right back at, oh, he didn't hit it very well. That almost stuck to the handle of the bat. But I guess when somebody throws that hard, you're pretty happy with it as you see the throw over to first base.
Well, Curt would probably like to have the first 3 hitters of this game back. Since then, he's been awfully tough. The Diamondbacks, after the Gonzalez double, have only 1 ball hit out of the infield in this game. But they do lead it by 3 in the second, and it all started with Tony Womack's infield single. And he later scored on the J. Bell homer. What a pickup Womack has been. There is no substitute for that speed. A pop up into the seats and out of play to tie up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There are a lot of people in the game that say, well, the stolen base is overrated. Well, the factor, the presence of a base runner on bases, maybe taking an extra base, forces the issue to a different level with the pitcher and catcher. And that's why a guy who has the potential to steal a base can affect the rest of the lineup behind him.
Pop foul straight back toward us and into the Diamondbacks radio booth. Oh, man, I'm disappointed. Those guys cowered out of the way. They didn't even offer it the foul ball. They need to change the team broadcasting nickname to the Flying Chickens, for crying out loud. Line drive into right center field. On the run is Glanville. He's got it. And the inning is over. Boy, our colleague Tom Brenneman sure would be embarrassed. It's 3-0 after 1.5. To the bottom half of inning number 2. The Phillies threatened to chip away in that first inning, but left the bases loaded against right-hander Andy Benes, who faces Anderson, Cedeno, and his pitching counterpart Curt Schilling. Ball 1 misses outside to Marlon Anderson. They paved the way for this guy to get to the big leagues by trading Mickey Morandini to the Cubs before last season for their center fielder and leadoff man Doug Glanville. That turned out to be quite a trade for the Cubs last year. They made the playoffs, but it's a trade that's going to really benefit the Phillies for many, many more years. There's Doug Glanville, terrific young player. And Anderson looks at a ball. 2 balls and a strike. Second round pick in 1995 by the Philadelphia organization. High pop straight back. And out of play again, evens up the count 2-2.
Chip, as you're talking about this young Philly team, that's what an organization has to do, is make a decision on what direction they're taking. The organizations that have trouble, the ones that get stuck in the middle, they don't know whether they're going to go all youth or whether they're going to try to stay competitive on a particular level each year.
Benes strikes out Anderson. That's his second punch out in the ball game. And 1 away in the second for last night's hero. Domingo Cedeno. The night Jeff didn't start too pleasantly for him. A foul ball off the foot. Almost got taken out at second base. But it sure ended beautifully. And revenge was very sweet. The game-winning 2-run homer in the 11th inning. And he bats here with 1 out in the second. So where are these Phillies? Do they have enough, in your estimation, to be a playoff team this year?
I don't know. It's the last 2 months are the most difficult time for any team, and they're very young. A lot of the young players have never been through a pennant race before. Talent-wise, they might have. What you think about is you wonder about, do they have enough pitching? And you see on the right of your screen is Paul Owens, who was an architect of this organization for many years, and Dallas Green, who was his manager when they won the World Championship. Dallas, of course, his last managing job with the Mets. These are the guys that were very much a part of building this Philly team, maybe in the second phase of it. But this is a good-looking young team. We mentioned about they have a very good bench. They have a great lineup. They have a young, energetic manager.
Cedeno out on strikes. 2 up, 2 down here in the second inning. 3 strikeouts for Benes as he starts to settle in.
But what the problem they have is they're in the wrong division. I mean, when you have two clubs ahead of you like the Braves and the Mets, or the Mets and the Braves, depending on how you look at the standings, you just wonder, do they have enough starting pitching? Their starting pitching has stepped up, and the people like Paul Bird, Robert Person, Randy Wolf.
Schilling, of course. Well, if these guys were in the West, they'd have a 3-game lead. If they were in the Central, however, they'd be about where they are now, 5.5 games behind the front-running Astros. They're 5.5 games behind the Mets. And Schilling goes down on 3 pitches. Andy Bennett strikes out the side, and he leads it 3-0. Jay Bell will lead it off after this word from your local Fox station. To go in the top of our 3rd inning, a 2-run homer, his 29th of the year. In that 1st inning, gave the D-backs a quick 2-0 lead. What has gotten in to Jay Bell? His previous career high, 21 home runs. Now he has 29 of them. Last year he was belittled, I guess, by most baseball media as being an overpaid free agent acquisition by the Diamondbacks. They're not saying that now.
No, they're not saying that now. This is a guy that was always an outstanding defensive player, and with the Pirates, he became a guy that sacrificed him. But take a look how he pushes his weight back. That is why he's hitting with more power. He gets his weight back and set to hit the ball a long way. It's not, he doesn't stand upright and just shoot the ball around the field like he once did. Now he gets his weight back and he attacks off that back leg. That's where his power comes from.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball to the right side. Playable for Anderson. A looping throw to first is in time. And Bell's retired for out number 1 in our 3rd inning. Schilling starting to settle down now. He's retired 5 in a row, Jeff, but he's still looking for his first strikeout of the day. Again, he's been sidelined with some shoulder and elbow tendonitis on the campaign and hasn't been blowing the ball by people quite yet in this ball game. Sammy Sosa's in the batter's box at Wrigley Field. Let's join Tom Brenneman and Kevin Kennedy.
We welcome those of you watching the Philadelphia-Arizona game. Tom Brenneman alongside Kevin Kennedy and our entire Fox crew at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Sammy Sosa slamming Sammy Sosa to lead things off in the Cubs' 2nd inning. 42 home runs on the year. He had a good cut right there on the first pitch.
Wow. Right down the middle. That was straight back off the bricks behind home plate.
Sammy 2 behind Mark McGwire for the Major League lead with 42 this season. Sosa has hit 108 home runs since opening day last year and 144 since opening day of '97. Ellerton challenges him there, 0-2.
And Scott Ellerton wanted to go way inside. He actually missed location down and away. It turned out to be a pretty good pitch for him. But most power pitchers try to go inside on Sammy to tie him up, because if you leave it out over the plate, he can hit it out of anywhere. He's got great power to right center field, not just left field.
0-2 to Sosa. And he fouls it out of play, first base side. A very different final 2 months this season for Sosa in his chase of McGwire than it was last year. Of course, McGwire and the Cardinals were way out of the running for any postseason aspirations, while Sosa and the Cubs were having to duke it out day in and day out with the Giants for the wild card spot. For the Cubs way back this year. And Sosa gone on an off-speed pitch as Scott Ellerton fans Sammy Sosa.
Well, that was that good curveball we're talking about from Scott.
So Sammy Sosa strikes out. In the Cubs' first inning, they had about a half-hour rain delay at the start of that Astros-Cubs ball game. They split a doubleheader yesterday at Wrigley Field. Louis Gonzalez grounded out. Now Matt Williams stands in, and he takes a pitch high from Curt Schilling in our 3rd. Matt Williams, .311 batting average, 93 runs driven in. What a performer he has been for Arizona. Another ground ball. Easy play. Cedeno has to hurry. Williams out by a half step. And Schilling's retired 7 straight men. Has yet to strike anybody out, and he trails it by 3. Diamondbacks lead by 3 as we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Jeff, now it's time for our MasterCard Team of the Century update. Top catching vote getters. And obviously you're waiting for the Chicago Awards to get their votes in with your name on that list. You must be in 7th place at the moment.
That must be the reason.
Get one of those Chicago elections, you'll zoom right past Johnny Bench. Yogi Berra, Carlton Fisk, Josh Gibson, Roy Campanella. What a list. Mickey Cochran, 2. Ground ball hit to the shortstop off the bat of Doug Glanville. He's retired here in the bottom half of our 3rd inning. And friends, remember, by using your MasterCard, you can win a chance to sit next to one of those legends at this year's World Series. 1 up, 1 down in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Andy Benes is retired 5 straight, and he leads by 3. Rob Ducey singled in the 1st. And he was stranded at 3rd. Phillies loaded the bases in the 1st inning, trying to come back from a 3-0 hole, but couldn't get their first run to cross home plate. It's 3-0 Arizona. Fouled straight back. It's 2-1. They got a wild game going down in Atlanta. The Giants led it 3-0 early. Now the Braves have taken a 4-3 lead. I'm sure Keith Olbermann and the gang in the Fox Network Center will have an update on how that happened shortly. And the pitch. Catches the outside corner versus Ducey. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This Philadelphia team needs a guy with the last name of Acey to lead things off. The 2-2. Then they can have the AC-Ducey 1-2 punch atop the order.
You know, that's strange you should say that here. You're looking at Jay Bell right now. He is asking the bench, the defensive positioning, where he should play. Where does Ducey hit the ball? That's where your communication comes in during the whole game. Brian Butterfield.
Downstairs. 3-2.
But I was starting to say about AC Ducey. Years and years ago over at Connie Mack Stadium, the old clubhouse, visiting clubhouse man was named Ace Cadillac, and his son was Ducey.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that was here in Philadelphia.
High pop fly on the infield. This one might bring rain. And Ducey's retired, and there is out number 2. And as if on cue, once again, here's Keith Olbermann with the game break in our Fox Network Center.
Trying to come up with an AC for you, Chip. In the interim, Gerald Williams has turned that Giants lead into the Braves lead. First, Greg Myers scores, and Walt Weiss right behind him. They're not going to get him either. And the Braves are carrying the 4-3 lead to the top of the 3. AC Green, maybe? Transfer score.
Keith, thank you very much. 3-0 Diamondbacks in the 3rd. And Bobby Abreu, the batter. Abreu walked in that 1st inning. Andy Benes trying to win for just the 7th time this year. He's made 5 consecutive starts away from the Bank One ballpark. He's 1-1 during that span. And it's low and away. 2-0 the count.
You know, I'm watching Andy Benes throw and watching his delivery. He is very smooth with his delivery. He's got the typical power pitcher's drop and drive delivery. He drops, he bends his back leg, his right leg, and then drives overhand to the plate. But he's very smooth. Now, his gun readings are not real exceptional, but he doesn't look like he's overthrowing. And when you've got a cushion, a 3-run cushion, you can do this. Mark Connor is an outstanding pitching coach. Great mechanical mind. He works on the mechanics of a pitcher so well. And we'll take a look at the delivery here. Now, we're talking about right here. This is where you got to drop on that back leg, but you stay tall and then drop behind it and head for the plate. See his back knee bend? Now look at him come over the top and finish up. That is a very smooth delivery he's been using so far.
3-2 to Abreu, who thought it might have been outside the zone. Benes with a couple of walks. He struck out 4 already, including the side in the second. He's got the 3-run cushion, but this is a very intimate ballpark. It plays almost downhill here at Veterans Stadium. The pitch struck him out, blew it right by him. Bennis has retired 7 straight. He's got the 3-0 lead, and Steve Finley set to lead it off. Well, there's Jay Bell, the second baseman for this Arizona ball club. New position for him this year. He sure does like it, though.
Brian Butterfield's the infield coach, and using statistics and the computer to put up your defense, and that's why when you have a new position, even though you got a veteran. Now remember, Jay Bell has been an outstanding shortstop for a number of years. It's very different over on the other side of the field.
Sure hasn't affected his offense. He's been a much improved offensive player since moving from shortstop to second base. Tony Batista and Andy Fox had been sharing that shortstop position. The Diamondbacks looking for some left-handed bullpen help. Traded Batista and John Frascatore to Toronto for Dan Plesac. So Fox the everyday shortstop now for the Diamondbacks. Plesac's been hot and cold in that bullpen, but the trade has allowed the Toronto Blue Jays to take off. They really have blossomed. What a night last night for Carlos Delgado. He hit 3 home runs in the game for the Jays. And Finley takes ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, it's amazing. Tony Batista's already set the record for home runs by a shortstop in Toronto. He's only been there, what, 6 weeks?
If that long, pop up left side, foul ground. Who wants it? It'll be rolling right at the 10-yard line. Hit foul ground, and Finley is out number 1 here in the 4th inning. Of course, Veterans Stadium also the home of the NFL's Eagles. And if we can get a high camera shot, you'll be able to see the faint outline of the gridiron on the AstroTurf surface here in the city of brotherly love. And you'll see the Eagles and all the great teams in the NFL once again this fall here on Fox. Can't wait for the NFL to get started. I think it gets started tomorrow down under. Or perhaps tonight. Well, it's tomorrow in Australia, so I was thinking in Australian time. Durazzo sends a high fly ball, belted into center field. Back goes Glanville, turns. He admires a long, majestic home run by Rubio Durazzo, his first big league homer, and it's 4-0 Diamondbacks. He almost hit that ball to Australia, for crying out loud.
Either that or his homeland back to Mexico. That ball was blasted. We talked about how big he is. He's 6'4" and weighs over 230 pounds, and he crushed this ball. Remember, when you got a power pitcher like Curt Schilling doing the throwing, he can supply a lot of the power. Here's the pitch. In the middle in and down. Look where this was. What a swing.
He's hit 2 breaking balls in this game for run-scoring hits. They might want to change the scouting report because he's crushed them both. Here's Fox, the shortstop. He popped out his first time. Diamondbacks with 2 long home runs, 1 by Bell, 1 by Durazzo. They lead 4-0 here in the 4th.
You know, the problem you have sometimes, the scouting report in the book is right that he has trouble with breaking balls, but they were lousy breaking balls. That last one didn't do anything, and it was in the wrong location. It was low and in. You don't throw a left-hander low and in with a breaking ball very often and leave it just kind of spinning there at the plate. We wondered how sharp Curt Schilling would be, having had almost actually 2 weeks off. There's been a lot on his mind with his wife's illness. She had a blood clot in her leg, and she's in the hospital. And that he is a very family-oriented guy, and it really has bothered him, obviously.
Yeah, when you're talking about a power pitcher of Curt Schilling's ability, and he's pitching into the 4th inning and has not yet struck anyone out, that tells you that certainly the stuff isn't there. Has missed 15 days. But you have to wonder, too, if mentally is in this ball game. He's a professional. He knows what his job is, but as we showed you earlier in our ball game with the soundbite that he gave us, everything in his life up until now has been getting ready to pitch every 5th day. And life has thrown him, you'll pardon the pun, quite a curveball the last 2 weeks. And it's a tough adjustment. forget these guys are people too, not just ball players with a wonderful lifestyle out on that field.
Well, you can imagine the concern he had. He flew home from Florida to see his wife and be with his wife in the hospital.
And there is the first strikeout. A slider down and in takes care of Fox. And there are 2 men out here in the 4th for a game break. Let's go back once again to Keith Olbermann in our Fox Network Center.
Chip, a familiar name in Philadelphia, Charlie Hayes, flirting with 200 this year, but he's just cleared 2,000. The Phillies, the Giants and the Braves are now tied again at 4 on Hayes' 4th home run of the year. 4-4 bottom 3. Chip?
Keith, thank you very much. Here's Kelly Stinnett as the Diamondbacks bat in the 4th inning. They lead 4-0, trying to win their 62nd game of the year. High pop. Lieberthal throws away the mask. In foul ground has it, and the inning is over. But the long home run by Arubio Durazo, his first in the big leagues, makes it a 4-0 Diamondback lead. Andy Benes through 3 innings here at Veterans Stadium. The Diamondbacks have played long ball today against Curt Schilling. And Benes holding down the National League's 2nd best batting team, 2nd best scoring team at 5.4 runs a game. And he blows that right by Scott Rowland. Benes' first strikeout victim on the day. He struck out 5 through 3. And after that shaky first inning, Andy Benes has righted the ship. 7 up, 7 down. And the count evens up at 1-1.
Chip, watching his approach, he's setting up his fastball with his breaking ball.
Ground ball. Williams diving stab to his left. Throw to first is in time. What a play. Leathered larceny. Matt Williams, Ed Durazo, Rob Rowland, and here comes Terry Francona out to argue.
Well, that was an outstanding play by Matt Williams, but the play at first base by the naked eye up here looked like there was no way they had him. Again, that's probably why you don't umpire from up here, but here's the play. Look at Matt Williams dive for this ball. Get up and make the throw, then look at this play at first.
I don't know if he hit the bag. I think that's what the umpire might have seen. And that replay, it looked like Rowland slammed his right foot into the dirt in front of the bag rather than on the bag. Look closely. Right there. Oh, well, he was on it just by a toe. And a line drive into center field by Bronya. Only the 2nd Philly hit. The bang-bang play goes against the Phillies, and another look. Did Larry Vanover get it right or wrong?
Now, as you look at the throw coming across, he's safe, and I thought it was from here, looking at the reaction. Remember, an umpire looks at the foot of the runner and listens for the ball hitting in the glove. Now, that ball hit in the dirt and was slapped out of the dirt by Durazo.
So a bad break for the Phillies, but they get Bronya aboard for Lieberthal, who popped out. He was the man that popped up on the first pitch swing with the bases loaded in that first inning and 2 men out. 1 on, 1 out in the Philadelphia 4th. Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray on the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week from Veterans Stadium.
What I started to say to you before, Chip, he has really been pitching. Andy Benes has been pitching as a breaking ball pitcher. He's throwing a slider and a curveball. Then he sets up his fastball. He's got a couple strikeouts on high fastballs. If he went the other way around, started with fastballs, his fastball is not really rippling right now.
It's almost like he's pitching backwards.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's pitching with his breaking ball, and once he's gotten ahead, then he uses his fastball. Most guys don't do that. What's helped him is his delivery is so slow and deliberate that I think it's throwing the hitters off. And also it's helping his command. He has kept his breaking ball down. He normally, in most of his career, has been a high ball pitcher.
Two balls, 1 strike to Lieberthal. It's 2-2.
Well, That was that fastball. Now, as we said, now he located that beautifully. That was on the outside part of the plate. He drove it downhill after showing 2 breaking balls. Then he threw that fastball on the outside part of the plate.
The pitch struck him out. 6 Bennis strikeouts. Runner at first is Bronya. 2 men down for Marlon Anderson.
Now, this is what we were talking about. We'll take a look at the pitch sequence and what he's been doing. There's a fastball. There's the breaking ball. That's that little slurve-type breaking ball. Another fastball after 2 breaking balls. Then he strikes out Lieberthal with that little short breaking ball. I think that's his slider. His slider, he gets over the top of the ball, and that slider darts down a little bit, not to the side.
Anderson, the batter, he struck out his first time up today, and he looks at the ball low. 1 ball, no strikes. Andy Bennis pitching a gem so far today. A 2-hit shutout, and he leads it by 4 at Veterans Stadium. Fouled off Stinnett. It's 1-1. Last year, the Diamondbacks, in their expansion season, won all of 65 games the entire year. They're 4 away from equaling that mark.
Now, on the right side of your screen is Brad Mills, the first base coach, and you'll see he's got a watch. Actually, I got him in the wrong hand.
Did he go around? I think he did. The ball was not fouled away. Anderson doesn't know it. It's 1-2. And Bronya in at second base. It wasn't fouled away. It ticked off the catcher. So a wild pitch puts the runner at second.
Well, you take a look. It's a breaking ball. And when it hits in the dirt, Marlon Anderson looks like he tries to check, but there's not much he can do about it. Stinnett didn't know where the ball went, so the good way to do it is act like it was fouled if he can.
Well, that would have cost the Phillies a base. The D-backs were trying to campaign for it, but it doesn't matter. Bennis blows away Anderson. He has struck out 7 through 4. He still has the shutout. The Diamondbacks cruising to a 4-0 lead. Top of the 5th inning, our copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of today's game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray, our entire Fox crew in Philadelphia. Andy Bennis pitching a marvelous ball game for the Diamondbacks. And he looks at a strike. It's 0-2. Bennis has struck out 7 men. 10 is his season high. His career high is 14. That was 5 years ago when he played against the Mets. You weren't managing the Mets back then, were you, in 94?
No, I was fired by then. I went in 92, was gone by May of 93.
Bennis spins away from a Schilling fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You don't sound bitter about that, though.
Well, if you had watched the way I managed that ball club, you realize it was a mercy killing. But, you know, I'm watching these 2 guys go at each other here, Schilling and Bennis. Not so much Bennis hitting, and here he hits the ball in the center field.
But Glanville catches up to it, 1 away.
But I'm looking at the kind of size they have and the kind of deliveries they have, and they're very similar. And the more you watch them, they're both drop and drive power type of pitchers, where Schilling throws a lot harder, but it's very interesting. They're both very similar in their mechanics.
Bennis jammed. 1 man out here in the 5th for Tony Womack. Womack singled and scored in the first ahead of the Jay Bell homer. He's also flied out to center field. 4-0. Arizona the lead, and the Philly fans start to serenade the Arizona leadoff man. Ground ball up the middle. That's the way to answer him, Tony, with a base hit up the middle. 1 on, 1 out. For another game break, let's rejoin Keith Olbermann in our Fox Network Center.
Chip, the Giants led, then the Braves led, then the Giants tied, and then Ryan Klesko said it's our turn again. He thought this was gone, and nearly so, to the warning track to plate Brian Jordan in the 3rd inning. And the Braves pull out in front 5-4. Still batting, bottom of the third. Chip, back to you.
Thank you, Keith. Seesaw battle down in Dixie. It's all Arizona so far this afternoon. And Jay Bell will be the batter. 29 homers, 80 driven in for the second baseman of the Diamondbacks.
Well, we were talking before, and we were looking at Brad Mills, the first base coach of the Phillies, and I got the watch in the wrong hand, but Dwayne Murphy down at first base for the Diamondbacks will do the same thing for their ball clubs, telling Womack how quick Schilling is, and they were very close with a throw over to first base. But most clubs will time the pitchers to see how quickly they get the ball from their first move out of the stretch position to the home plate area, and then you have an idea whether you can steal against them.
1-0 is in for a strike. What is a good time to the plate, and what does the throw from the plate to second take as far as time concerned?
Good time to the plate for a pitcher is anything under about 1-3. Above 1-3, you add the two times together what the catcher gets when he gets it to second base, and most catchers are around 2 seconds to second base.
So it's 3.3 seconds from pitcher's hand into the second baseman or shortstop's glove at second base. So the runner has
a chance.
So the runner has to be 3.3 seconds or faster.
Most runners are about 3.5 from their first move. So that's what you try to do. You have to add up both how quick the pitcher is to the plate, and also beforehand you know how your catcher's release is.
1-2. He struck him out. Schilling climbed the ladder, and looks, Jeff, like he's finally starting to get loose. Two men down here in the fifth. And it is tonight, folks. The NFL on Fox will be down under in Sydney, Australia. Join Terry, Howie, JB, and Chris as the San Diego Chargers battle the defending Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos. Don't miss American Bowl 99 live tonight at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on Fox. Football right around the corner. So are the stretch runs in Major League Baseball, and just back again is Womack.
Well, I think you're right. You mentioned Curt Schilling starting to get loose. He's starting to pop the ball. Now his fastball is anywhere from 93 to 95. Early in the game, he wasn't hitting 90.
No trouble doing that now, and the pitch right through there to Luis Gonzalez. Louis just got a contract extension, 3 more years from the Diamondback organization, a well-deserved contract. They stole him from the Tigers for Kareem Garcia. And all Gonzalez is do is hit for power, hit for average, and hit just about every day.
He's got a unique looking stance, a wide open stance where he comes back into the plate. That's why he can hit the ball the other way so well.
Another close play at first.
That was also very close to a balk move by Curt Schilling. When any pitcher turns to throw to first, they're supposed to step to first. This was a spin move. You just see Womack go back. They almost got him. I think Curt got away with one. He got this was a real quick move where he just spun on his front heel. Now you can take a look now. You see how quickly he moved? You're supposed to step over to first base. What he did was spin. He never even moved his left foot toward first base. I think he got away with one.
So Womack measures off another good lead at first. He's going. The pitch is low. The Lieberthal throw is high and into center field. Now Womack, a late break. Glanville comes up firing. His throw is high as well. Oh, they had 2 chances to get Womack, and they missed both opportunities. And there's that speed and its threat, putting another runner in scoring position for Arizona.
Well, you are exactly right. This is what speed will do. You see, Lieberthal had to really hustle a little bit. His throw was not a wild throw. That just was not a good attempt by Cedeno. Cedeno was trying to jump over the runner as the throw was coming. Here's Womack going again. Look at him go. He doesn't ever look back in. He is firing to second base. He almost made a mistaken judgment going to third.
But make it he did. His 49th stolen base. The error is charged to Lieberthal. Lieberthal ends a streak now of 73 games without an error. That was the longest streak in baseball this season.
And he doesn't deserve the error. That wasn't his. That throw was catchable. That's Cedeno's error, even though the official scorer gave it to the catcher. That throw was right over the base. Cedeno was worrying about the runner coming in. He was jumping over him. and he missed the throw.
So 3 balls and a strike to Gonzalez. The 5th potential run of the game at third here in the 5th inning for Arizona. Diamondbacks try to get a game above 500 on the road. They're 28-28 away from the Bank One ballpark. The 3-1 is inside ball 4. First and third now with 2 outs. And Matt Williams will stride to the plate. Williams has grounded to the third baseman. He's also grounded to short.
Well, those normally you won't pull anything fancy on the base paths when your number 4 hitter is hitting, but just think about the situation. If it gets to 2 strikes on Matt Williams, you might see Luis Gonzalez heading for second base, trying to force the issue with a good speed and Tony Womack at third.
They might be able to steal home on the throw to second. A strike to Williams, 0-1.
You know, you look at some of the isms that hitters have. Matt Williams has this little ism where he takes his chin and almost his mouth and rubs on his front shoulder. For a while when I was managing this league, I thought he was trying to steal pitches. Look down and see the location.
Oh, fouled straight back, and they have changed that error from Lieberthal now to the shortstop Cedeno. I agree with you. I think that's the proper call. So Lieberthal's errorless streak continues. The Phillies, however, are charged with 1 in the 5th inning.
Take a look at Matt Williams as he goes to hit. He'll take his chin or his look. See how he goes to his front shoulder. It's a little habit that makes him think, this is the way I have to keep my head in. I want it over my shoulder. He has said that when he was young, he learned to do this, where he took his left shoulder and replaced it with his right shoulder when he swung, and that meant his head was staying down. At first, I thought he was looking down for location.
Foul tipped into the glove of Lieberthal, and the inning is over. Third strikeout for Schilling. Arizona strands 2, but leads it by 4.
Have it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. By Progressive Auto Insurance, with a new way to quote and buy at Progressive.com. By MasterCard, proud sponsor of the Major League Baseball All-Century Team. And by Pepsi, the joy of cola.
Chip Caray, Jeff Torborg back in Philadelphia. Time to take a look at our GMC game summary. Arizona's gotten all the offense, Jeff, it needed in the first inning. A long homer by Jay Bell. The other offensive highlight, Rubio Durazo hitting his first big league homer. And how about Andy Bennis today? He's been masterful.
He really has. He's located beautifully. Look at all these strikeouts. There are 7 of them. They're right on the money. A lot of breaking balls to right-handed hitters, straight to hard stuff to left-handed hitters. But he has been really on the money with his location, and probably this is the best I've ever seen him throw as far as location is concerned. Normally he's up in the strike zone getting away with his stuff. Now he's got good command.
7 strikeouts, only 2 walks. Those walks came in the first inning when the Phillies loaded the bases with 2 outs and failed to score. 1 ball, 1 strike to Domingo Cedeno, the Philadelphia shortstop. Again, the Phillies are without Desi Relaford. Tore a ligament in his wrist earlier this year. So they've gone with a patchwork assortment of shortstops this year. But they really like Relaford. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Alex Arias, another part of that platoon at shortstop for Terry Francona's team. The 2-2. He paints the outside corner, and Cedeno knew it. Bennis has kept the leadoff man off every inning in this game. That's 8 strikeouts for him, 2 shy of his season high of 10.
And boy, did you describe it. You said he painted the outside corner. That's exactly what he did. He put that ball right where he wanted it. Even though it's a very straight fastball, and you can see Mark Connors keeping the chart. Mark's got to be very pleased with this attack that Bennis has used today. His plan of attack against these hitters has been very good.
Well, I think that Andy would tell you he's probably very disappointed in what he's been able to do this year as far as the wins and losses are concerned. 6-10 mark with a .537 earned run average on a team as good as this one for Arizona is not, I think, what he had in mind this year. Schilling rifles it down the right field line into the seats. 1-2 the count to him.
No, he was actually last year the #1 starter in this ball club, and then when you added Randy Johnson and Todd Stottlemyre, You expected him to continue to do what he was doing, and he hasn't been doing. But
the pitch to Schilling is bounced off the plate. Razzo's got it even with the bag. Schilling's retired, 2 up and 2 down here in the Philadelphia 5th. And to the top of the order we go in Doug Glanville. Sammy Sosa getting set to hit again at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The Astros are beating the Cubs 5-2 at Wrigley Field. Scott Ellerton against Kevin Tampany at the friendly confines. They had a half-hour rain delay before the start of that ball game, and we'll tell you if Sammy Sosa can move closer to Big Mac in the National League home run chase. McGuire with 44, Sosa with 42. And both men's teams out of the playoff race for the time being. The pitch to Glanville is over for a strike. It's 0-1. Line drive right field. He just served that ball. Hit it where it was pitched. And Glanville's aboard. He has his 147th hit of the year. Was too shy of 200 last year. They've gotten themselves a terrific leadoff man for the next 10 years here in Philly.
Of course, he came through the Cub organization, but he's right out of the University of Pennsylvania, right around the corner from here. Very bright kid and very enjoyable to be around. You know, it's so neat. The more and more you see in baseball, the people are so nice. It's enjoyable watching good people succeed.
No doubt. No doubt about that. Rob Ducey, the batter, he is singled. He's popped out. And he had a home run cut, and he missed it. Strike 1. 91 miles an hour by Bennis. That's about where he's been all day today, but he spotted everything.
And that's about the top of what he throws now. And as we mentioned earlier, he used to pop the ball somewhere 95, 96, but 91 is still pretty darn good if you can locate it where you want it. Exactly.
Outside to Ducey. The Cardinals come to town next for the Phillies. Big Mac will resume his assault here. The Cardinals are in Pittsburgh over the weekend. And an interesting scenario here at Veterans Stadium. It'll be the first time J.D. Drew comes to Philadelphia as a big leaguer. That ball pops away from the catcher. Glanville takes second on the play. J.D. Drew, of course, spurned the Phillies and later signed with the Cardinals. Ed Wade, the general manager of the Phillies. Ruben Amaro Jr., his assistant, enjoying the ball game today.
Boy, what a job Ed Wade has done here. Some things that look like the moves are unpopular. Boy, have they worked out well. He's done some job.
Line drive right field, base hit. Glanville rounds third. He's going to score the first Philadelphia run. Rob Ducey drives home his 23rd of the year. It's now a 4-1 ball game in the Philly 5th.
Well, we talked about in an open how the Phillies are able to score and do things an easy way. Now, or in a different way, I should say. Here's a ball in the middle of the plate, and Ducey lines a shot to right field. But the reason the run scored was they had a base runner who went to second base on a pass ball, and he scores on that base hit. We talked about Ed Wade, the job he has done building this bench. Rob Ducey has added to this ball club and has contributed.
So runner at first now for Abreu. He's walked, he struck out. A home run here makes it a one-run game. 4-1 Diamondbacks the lead, and that one hung up there, but Abreu couldn't pull the trigger. I agree with you. I think Ed Wade's done a terrific job here, but he's done his job with a lot of criticism. There are a lot of people in this town who feel that he should have done something to bolster this pitching staff.
Well, he tried, though. You know, he thought he had a deal with the Orioles for Erickson, and the Orioles decided not to make the move. You know, he really tried to. The problem what people don't realize, here you are trying to put deals together. You can't have 14 different deals if this one doesn't work and this one doesn't work. You've got to go and make a concerted effort to get the guy you want, you know. And it just didn't work out for him, but he tried.
1 ball, 1 strike. He got this guy from Tampa Bay. For Kevin Stocker, the pitch downstairs. Not too often you see a team trade its double play combination. It's shortstop and its second baseman in the same year. But that's exactly what the Phillies did. They trade Stocker to Tampa Bay, get a power-hitting corner outfielder in Abreu, They traded Mickey Morandini to the Chicago Cubs for a 200-hit, 300-hitting leadoff man who catches everything in center field.
So with those two moves, they have 2/3 of their outfield. Then they went out and got Ron Gant this year.
The 2-1. Ripped straight back, 2-2.
But you know what you have to remember? Bobby Abreu was not known as a power hitter when they got him. There were a lot of people that said...
Well, originally he was with the Astros.
Right, and they didn't think and he had hurt his wrist, but there are a lot of people in baseball didn't think Abreu was going to be a power hitter. In fact, as of the beginning of last year, he was more a line drive hitter, showing signs of power hitting. But with young kids that get stronger and stronger, this guy is going to be a big power hitter before it's over. I really believe
you know what he looks like to me facially? Looks like Sammy Sosa to me. You get a shot of him, kind of resembles Sammy, doesn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. I never thought of that.
Look at him.
He might. He's in Venezuela. We talked yesterday, and of course, Ozzie Guillen was one of his heroes. And Ozzie was a captain for me when I managed the White Sox, and we got talking about that, and he really idolizes the former major leaguers or major leaguers.
2-2 hit high in the air toward left, but playable for Gonzalez. He's got it. And that retires the side in the Philly fifth. But 2 two-out singles scores their first run. It's 4-1 Diamondbacks. Top half of the sixth inning. Steve Finley will lead things off. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Diamondbacks trying to rebound from a 4-2-11 inning defeat last night at the hands of the Fighting Phils. Finley has yet to get the ball out of the infield against Schilling. Approaching the 80 pitch mark in this ball game, and it's just the sixth. After that first inning, he settled out very well. 3 runs in the first, 1 run allowed in the fourth. Phillies got 1 in the fifth. Trail it by the score you see. 2 balls and a strike. Schilling, folks, is a throwback kind of pitcher. 8 complete games for this Philadelphia ball club. Last year he completed 15 games. Won 15, lost 14. Struck out 300 men. He's done that each of the last 2 years. He's one of only 5 men to strike out 300 or more in successive seasons. How about the names J.R. Richards, Nolan Ryan, Sandy Koufax, and Rube Waddell? Those are the other men to do that. And he just walked the leadoff man, Steve Finley, here in the sixth.
Well, you wonder. He throws a lot of pitches, and with complete games, he's had 5 this season, 5 consecutive complete games at one point. You wonder if it takes its toll, because all of a sudden he had that bicep tendonitis that had been bothering him 2 weeks ago. And that's a lot of pitches. That adds up.
Runner at first. Nobody out for Arubio Durazo. This guy is hitting himself and this Diamondback team into quite a dilemma. His first big league homer, a line drive 446 feet away in the 4th inning of this ball game. Made it a 4-0 affair, but with Travis Lee, the $10 million player, not producing, do they send him to AAA? Do they hand the job to Durazo? How long do they stick with this guy? How long do they stick with Lee? Interesting questions that the Diamondbacks have to ponder here over the next couple of weeks.
Well, Travis Lee has not had too much time in the minor leagues. You know, he came right out of San Diego State and was, of course, a $10 million bonus to sign. Tremendous looking swing, but he's been struggling this year. It might not hurt him to go down for a couple weeks.
All or nothing swing by Durazo, and he missed it. 2 balls and a strike.
There's so much more that goes into it, though. Some people feel that you're working with a guy's psyche, and you're trying to work with his mechanics, trying to get him straight. So can you do that at the major league level? Maybe better than the minor leagues.
Well, Travis Lee only 120 minor league games. 450 at bats or so. But he hit 32 home runs down there. Last year, he hit 269, hit 22, drove in 72. Durazo takes a belt-high strike over the inside corner. He didn't think so. And Schilling has his 4th strikeout. And Joe West with a parting shot as Durazo heads back to the Arizona dugout.
Well, that's one of those nasty pitches that the veteran pitcher will get. That looks like it might have been inside and might have been a little high, but Joe West is never known for taking any guff from anybody. But that, I can see why the kid questioned that pitch.
Buck Showalter questioning it too. And here's Andy Fox. This guy might be our network's favorite shortstop. 4-1 is our score in the 6th. Fox has popped out. He has struck out. And your old pal, the Philly fanatic, is here in the booth.
Man, when I was managing against this ball club and this fanatic got out there before the game giving all these gyrations, I was really proud of Tom Lasorda when he tackled the fanatic and took him down. Not you. It wasn't you. No, your predecessor. Okay.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Oh, this is Phyllis. Okay.
That's a very good look for you. I like the boa. Phyllis, that's a very nice look for Jeff.
Oh, thank you very much.
Is that from the, is that the Dennis Rodman collection?
All I know, my wife is sitting about 15 feet over here, and you better watch it. 36 years we've been married. Oh.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Andy Fox, the always entertaining Phyllis fanatic. She's had enough. She's leaving you for another man. The pitch is line foul and out of play. Now she's over to harass your lovely wife, Susan.
Better try a different deodorant, too. Gee.
93 pitches for Schilling. That's Ode to Fanatic. That's a brand new mascot fragrance. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at first is Finley, 1 out. The pitch. He paints the outside corner. Unhittable pitch. 5 strikeouts for Schilling, and there are 2 men out.
Oh, we'll take a look at this pitch to Andy Fox. Oh, it's got great action right at the end. You can see what's happening now with Curt Schilling. He's starting to drive the ball to the corners. He's staying out of the middle of the plate. That ball had life right at the end.
Well, like I said, I think only now is he starting to get comfortable, fluid, and loose in this ball game. He didn't have real good command or real good stuff early in the game when the Diamondbacks' first 3 hitters touched him for a single, a homer, and a double. And before the half inning was done, it was Diamondbacks 3, Phillies nothing. Now it's 4-1. D-backs hitting in the 4th, and there's that slider in for a strike. It's 0-1.
Well, if you remember, his last start 15 days ago was against the Braves, and he gave up 4 runs in the first inning in that one. And then with all that time off and all that he's had on his mind, we wondered how sharp he'd be early.
Well, he wasn't. One ball, 1 strike. Swing and a foul tip back. They've changed another scoring play in this ball game. The play that saw Doug Glanville move from first to second in the Philly 5th. That was changed from a wild pitch to a passed ball. Rob Ducey then singled in Doug Glanville, and it was ruled an unearned run. The 1-2 pitch. He swings. He struck out the side. A leadoff walk to Finley. But Schilling rallies. He punches out Durazo, Fox, and Stinnett, but trails 4-1. 6 men. He struck out the side in the 6th inning. And the nasty forkball takes care of Kelly Stinnett. Boom.
Oh, there it is. As you can see, it's almost a circle. He almost puts his index finger together with his thumb. That's like Pedro Martinez's split. But he doesn't quite get it there, and the bottom falls out of this. Watch the bottom come out of this. See how his fingers are spread on the ball as he delivers it? And that's that tumbling action.
Our thanks to our great camera crew for that shot of Curt Schilling. 6 strikeouts, a couple of walks, 4 earned runs in 6 innings. Again, his first outing in 15 days. Now the Philly offense has to come to life, but not with Scott Rowland this time. He pops up into shallow right. Womack puts him away, and Rowland is 0 for 3 today. Andy Bennis has matched Schilling pitch for pitch today. He has retired 8 men on strikes and has been in utter command since that rocky first inning. Every Philadelphia leadoff man in this game has been retired today, and that really helps Bennis. Here's Rico Brogna. He's walked, he's singled in today's game, so 1-for-1 afternoon so far. Things starting to settle down a bit in Atlanta. Braves lead the Giants 5-4. That game's in the 5th down at Turner Field. Astros leading the Cubs 5-2 in the bottom of the 5th. At Wrigley, Sammy Sosa still with 42 home runs. If he hits one, we'll show it to you later. 2 balls and a strike to Rico Brogna, the pitch. Is outside. It's 3-1. Phillies have a decision to make about a very good-looking young player in their system, Pat Burrell, their #1 pick from a year ago. A slugging first baseman type. Can also play third base, but he's not going to play there with Rowland, the all-star fixture at third. Brogna is so good with the glove that they're starting to have the kid play the outfield, with hopes of maybe having him become their left fielder for the Phillies in the next season or so.
Well, that's a nice problem to have. He was the #1 pick for this club last year, and good big-time power.
3-2 pitch. He struck him right out. That's 9 for Bennis. And Brogna's down on strikes.
Now, we talked about drop and drive power pitchers. Watch Bennis drop on that back leg and drive this fastball down on the outside part of the plate. 91 miles an hour. Right on the black on the outside part of the plate.
Bennis has struck out every man in the Philly order with the exception of Ducey and Glanville today. And Mike Lieberthal stands in. He's popped out and struck out. Just think what kind of an offense this Philly team would have if J.D. Drew had signed here. Goodness gracious.
Well, that's a sore point here with the people in Philadelphia, obviously. J.D. Drew, a very talented young kid. It was a major holdout. I hate to get involved when the agents are sitting out there trying to dictate how organizations do things, but it's business.
And Drew now playing with the Cardinals, and they'll be in here Monday. And you know the fans here in Philadelphia will be out in force to give them one of their patented Philadelphia greetings to the opposition. Class act that he is, Terry Francona said, hey, look, I have no animosity. I have no bitter feelings about what that young man decided to do. I'd rather talk about what our young players are doing, and that's the right approach, I think. Certainly that's the approach the organization is taking, but the fans are going to see it quite differently, I'm sure. A high fly ball hammered into center field. Finley drifts back to the edge of the track, puts that away. Lieberthal retired, and so are the Phillies. 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. 4-1 Arizona. Back after this word from your local Fox station. Philadelphia, Curt Schilling will go to work here in the 7th inning. Should be his last inning. His spot to up third in the bottom half of the inning, with his Phillies down by a score of 4-1. Buck Showalter trying to guide his team into the playoffs in the World Series in just their 2nd year. Spent a lot of time building this franchise and was looking for a certain kind of player to join this organization. Andy Bennis will lead things off in the 7th. Bennis is 0 for 2, and he hits a rocket into left center field for a base hit. Glanville over quickly, and Bennis is aboard, leading off the 7th inning. Jeff, you know, in expansion situations, a lot of guys come to these expansion teams just trying to finish out their major league careers, but that's not the case here in Arizona. They're looking for a different kind of player, aren't they?
I think they are. They're looking for class guys who can lead them and represent them well in the community and really be strong on the diamond. They've got those guys. They went after Jay Bell and Matt Williams to start it. They just keep adding around them.
Womack tries to bunt his way on and tips the ball into the glove of Lieberthal for strike one. Plus, their farm system's far enough along that they can make trades to go get guys like Matt Manti, like Tony Womack.
Absolutely. It comes from the top. They've got one of the classiest owners in the game. Everybody in baseball understand, and throughout professional sports, Jerry Colangelo is one of the classiest guys to run any athletic team or professional team. He is really special, and he's got his own ideas about what he wants, what kind of players he wants. And he also, when he hired Buck Showalter, got that kind of man. Buck Showalter is one of the classiest, young, serious, sensitive guys you'll see in the game.
And how badly did Colangelo want Buck Showalter? Very simply, he gave him a 7-year contract and gave it to him 2 years before the Diamondbacks even started playing. And he spent those 24 to 28 months globe-trotting the world looking for young talent, and it's really paid off. Rolen runs out of room as Womack pops it into the seats and out of play. They've got a terrific farm system. They've got some young arms on the way. Travis Lee, they signed him to a rich free agent contract. Matt Williams, Jay Bell, Steve Finley was signed. They still have several of their expansion players left. And this is a team that many feel has a very, very good chance to get to the National League Championship Series. Ground ball squibbed toward Rolen. He'll make the quick throw to first and just in time. Womack is retired for out number one. Bennis to second here in the 7th inning. And here is Buck Showalter talking about what he thinks an Arizona Diamondback player should be.
I was really surprised how quickly our guys started meshing in spring training. Even you can tell there was come out in the locker room after a game of spring training, half the club sitting around talking about things and where what they wanted to do, what they want to get out of this season. And one thing we were very adamant about, we didn't want to sign people or trade for people that just wanted to be here because it was a nice place to finish out your career. We wanted them to have a passion about what they want to accomplish.
Yes, this is only the 2nd year for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but I don't think it's fair to call them an expansion team.
No. Even when expansion began last year, it's not like the old expansion. Now we have so many different rules for the expanding teams. I mean, you can draft from 2 leagues. You have free agent ability. Jay Bell's an interesting story. Here's a guy who had 39 sacrifice bunts one year with the Pirates. He might have 39 home runs this year. Can you imagine that in a difference in a career?
Got a chance. Pop fly out of play over the Phillies dugout. Quickest to finish first. The quickest 8 years. Diamondbacks might do it in 2. They'd be a year ahead of Colorado. They made the playoffs in their 3rd year. But since then, it's been a little tougher for Colorado to sustain that early franchise success. It's one thing to get to the playoffs. It's one thing to win the World Series. A great accomplishment. But it's an even greater accomplishment, I think, to win and win consistently. Like the Yankees have been doing. Atlanta certainly in this division.
The Indians.
The Indians, too.
Right. Those are organizations that have really stayed in it, and that's tough to do. You're not kidding. This is a different economic environment. But I think when you take a look at the Diamondbacks, they've done it patiently, and they've done it with a lot of thought, and they've done it with a lot of money, for that matter. I mean, it takes a lot of money.
Well, yeah, when you have the resources to go out and spend $150 million, if that's what you want to spend, and go get the cream of the crop, hey, more power to you. That's the luxury that Jerry Colangelo has. Bell not too sure, draws the walk. Schilling cannot believe that non-call. 2 men are on, 1 man is out. I mean, the Florida Marlins pretty much fought their way to the World Series in '97.
Well, Kurt wanted this ball, but you can see from this angle, it's about 4 inches off the plate. But he got it. It looked on a pitch to Durazo earlier, and once you get it, you'd like to continue to have it.
But he didn't get it that time. So 2 are on, 1 is out for Luis Gonzalez. Louis is 1 out of 2. A double and a run scored. Good stop by Lieberthal. Marlins, though, after winning that World Series, had to dismantle the ball club.
Yes. Well, you're right. They went out and they paid. But, you know, you can spend a lot of money. Just ask the Orioles and the Dodgers right now. You can spend a lot of money and not have it work for you also. It takes a lot of guts to spend a lot of money. It's not just that you have it, and you've got to have a proper direction.
Ripped hard toward Bronya, and he misplayed it. It's under his glove. Bennis will round third. He's going to score. Abreu has some problems in right field. That allows Bell to reach third, and a very big run scores for the Diamondbacks, their 5th of the game. And Bronya, a rare fielding problem there. That one skipped right under his glove for an error. And the D-backs have a big run here in the 7th.
Well, this ball is a bullet to start with. You're playing on a green freeway on this artificial turf, and this ball just shoots right by Rico Bronya. That doesn't happen very often. He got a funny read off that ball, I think. But remember, you don't have much time to react. This stuff is fast. And Luis Gonzalez, the left-handed hitter, pulled that ball and hit it right on the button.
So no RBI on the play. Bell to third. Matt Williams hits a high fly ball deep toward right. Long run. Abreu at the track. Hit the wall in souvenir time. 3-run opposite field homer for Matt Williams. It's a 4-run 7th, and the Diamondbacks might have just delivered the knockout blow. 25 home runs for Matt Williams. Now 96 runs driven in. And Terry Francona on his way out here in the 7th inning.
You know, I thought this was just a fly ball to right field. I didn't think this ball was going to go out. Remember, it's a very hot day here, and the ball does jump as Curt Schilling leaves the mound.
So a hit by Bennis, a 1-out walk to Bell, an error by Bronya, a 3-run Matt Williams home run. Curt Schilling gives up the most runs he's given up all year and leaves trailing 8-1. Bronya, Poole covers the bag nicely, and Bronya makes up for the error, at least for the moment.
Well, here's Finley hitting another shot down there. You can see Bronya makes the play to his glove side and then feeds Poole at first base. We were talking before this game in our open about the outstanding defense of the Phillies. They've had 2 errors in this game and really obviously contributed to big innings.
Here's Rubio Durazo. He has had a monster game today. An RBI single with 2 outs in the first, a solo home run in the 4th, the first in his big league career. Very impressive looking left-hand hitter. And here's a look at Jim Poole, the veteran left-hander.
Jim Poole's been around. He's a guy that came out of Georgia Tech, and you can see his numbers. These are a lot of appearances. The numbers are not exceptional, more hits than innings pitched, but he's left-handed, and everybody's looking for them. Jim Poole, I think, probably did the best job I've seen him do in his spot position with the Indians. In I believe 95, he was the guy that gave up the home run to David Justice.
That ended up winning the World Series for Atlanta. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Rubio Durazo. A 4-run Arizona 7. An 8-1 ball game. Curt Schilling's line today, 6 1/3, 8 hits, 8 runs, 7 earned, 3 home runs. He struck out 6. And he won't make excuses. His plane got beat today. But he has not been sharp. His first game back in 15 days. His wife ill in a Philadelphia hospital, battling a blood clot. They're expecting their 3rd child. As Jeff mentioned earlier, he left the Philadelphia team while they were down in Florida earlier in the week to rush back and make sure she's okay. And we certainly echo those sentiments and hope Mrs. Schilling is feeling much better. 3 balls, 2 strikes, bases empty, and a walk from Poole. So Durazo has had a very productive day. First walk by Poole, and that brings Andy Fox to the plate. Fox 0 for 3 today, including a pair of strikeouts. So this game stays the way it is for the moment. The Phillies would fall 6 games behind the Mets. Atlanta is winning 7-4 now over the Giants. Atlanta, the wild card leader in the National League. And boy, that still sounds very funny to say, doesn't it?
You know, looking at Kurt Schilling in the dugout, one of the most important things for Terry Francona and the Phillies is that he doesn't come out of this with any soreness in that bicep area. Even though this game is one that he's shaking his head now that has gotten away from him, still, if he is able to come back off of this and build from this start, everything will be okay.
Rip to the right side, diving stop, Marlon Anderson. Can he throw him out? You bet he can. We've seen some terrific defensive play today at Veterans Stadium. 7th inning stretch in Philly. Fan cam from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Diamondbacks leading by a score of 8-1. Pink cotton candy here at the ball yard today. Check out that lid. That's from your era. And last but not least, your date.
Oh,
Phyllis Fanatic. I think you should get some of that Ode de Fanatique for Susie for her birthday. I think that would go over really, really well.
we should grow some flowers in front of our house, maybe.
Well, fanatics like that fertilizer smell. You know, that's how it makes that fur grow. Ball outside to Marlon Anderson, leading off the bottom of the 7th inning. 7, 8, 9 due up for the Phillies. Their bullpen is busy once again. Andy Bennis in cruise control. He has pitched a very, very good ball game.
You just wonder, having run the bases in this late in the game, and it's quite warm out here, whether his command will stay the same. He's had exceptional command today.
Ripped up the middle for a base hit. Leadoff single. That's the first Philadelphia leadoff man to reach in this game. And it happens here in the 7th. Luckily for him, he's got the huge lead. So he'll go to work off the stretch. And Domingo Cedeno will be the batter. 10 complete games for the Diamondbacks this year. Omar Dahl has one of them. Guess who has the other 9?
Without a doubt, Randy Johnson is the man. He's starting to worry me, though. He's getting too many strikeouts. Sandy Koufax's strikeout record, and that was broken by Nolan Ryan. They're both in jeopardy.
Randy's got 262 this year, 2,540 lifetime. That's lined out of play for a long strike to Cedeno, who has struck out twice.
And there's the big guy in the dugout. What a job he's done. Has he had some heartbreaking losses? It's incredible, the games that he's pitched and lost.
Amazing. An ERA in July of 1.13, and he had just 2 wins. He had a no-hitter thrown against him, a 1-hitter thrown against him, a shutout thrown against him. I mean, it was unbelievable.
And last night, all he did was go 8 innings and give up 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, no decision.
Swing and a miss by Cedeno.
We were in their clubhouse today, and Dan Plesac was talking about him. He said he has not. Dan Plesac's been around this game a long time. He said he could not believe watching Randy Johnson pitching in situations where it's extremely hot and he's in the latter part of the game. He said he's like a man among boys at times when he gets it together.
I've seen him throw 130, 140, 150 pitch games when I was doing games in Seattle when Randy pitched there. Through a 135 game, 13 strikeout performance, then volunteered for Lou Piniella to go down to the bullpen. Came out of the pen and picked up a must-save game for Seattle, and he threw 2 innings there. A high drive hammered towards center. That drives Finley back, but he's got a play on it. He's got it, and Cedeno flies out. 4 out, number 1. Randy Johnson with yet another 10 strikeout ball game.
Now look at that. That's low, what you call low heat. And there's that inside fastball that it's almost impossible to get to. And here's Lieberthal trying to hit that slider. He made a mistake with 1 slider last night, and he got burned by it on the Ron Gann home run. That happens at times when your ball club's getting shut down. But look at the rankings. This guy is incredible.
Well, Cooperstown will be calling when Randy Johnson decides to stop playing Major League Baseball.
don't think there's any doubt about that. What's amazing about that man is now he's transformed his game as Kevin Sefcik into pinch hit for Jim Poole. Early in Randy Johnson's career, he threw the ball all over the place. The last several seasons, however, he has really mastered the control. Yes, he's a power pitcher. Yes, he can get it up there at 98, 99 miles an hour, but his best pitch is his slider. That's right through there. 2 balls and a strike.
Plesac was telling me at the time, Danny said, you know what, I couldn't believe he needed a strikeout. It was in the 9th inning. He threw 3 consecutive pitches at 101 miles an hour in the 9th inning in 95-degree heat.
That's Bartolo Colon-like, isn't it? That just missed. 3 balls and a strike. Phillies are a never-say-die bunch. They trailed late last night before Ron Gant hit an 8th inning tying home run. They're down 7 in the 7th today, however. It would take a miraculous comeback. But there's a start. Sefcik aboard. A 1-out walk. And now the top of the Philadelphia order comes a calling here with the aforementioned Dan Plesac starting to limber up.
Well, Mark Connor, as we mentioned before, the pitching coach who was so outstanding a teacher of mechanics, worked with the Yankee organization, was the baseball coach at the University of Tennessee for a while, who is just outstanding when it comes to mechanics, is out to talk to his big right-hander. They had set up a real good game plan. They've gotten his mechanics together, and what he's talking about right now, I venture to say he's saying, slow down, you've got a big lead, throw strikes. Throw the ball where you want it. What normally happens when a pitcher starts to get tired, he's got 117 pitches. We said he ran the bases, got a base hit, scored. Your legs get a little tired, and then your command goes. So when Mark was giving him a little time and also talking to him about slow everything down. Normally when you want to do more, you rush and you overthrow instead of slowing down.
And with a pitcher, it's not the arm that gets tired, right? It's the legs.
Yes.
Especially a big man like Bennis. You talked earlier about the drop and drive that he has. A very big and strong foundation for Bennis with those very strong legs. So here's Glanville in the 7th, and Bennis gets ahead of him with a quick strike. Atlanta pounding the Giants now. It's 9-4 in the bottom of the 5th inning. That's bad news for the Phillies, who trail by 7 here. The pitch. Evens the count at a ball and a strike. Glanville fell too shy of 200 hits last year. He's 3 ahead of Luis Gonzalez of Arizona. Gonzalez has a hit today, so does Glanville. And now dug down, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
If you notice the sequence that they just used, they threw a breaking ball for a strike, and then they threw 2 fastballs inside. And one of the reasons for that was the last at bat for Glanville, he shot a ball to right field on a fastball low and away. So they're trying to keep the ball in on his hands a little bit. Now they can go with a breaking ball low and away or come back in.
He struck him out. Bennis with 10 strikeouts equals his season high.
Well, this is a heck of a pitch. He made a great pitch. Without seeing the velocity on the pitch, I was thinking it was going to be a slider. Let's take a look at it. The bottom falls out of it. That might have been a changeup. Whatever it was a nasty pitch, and it had action down, exactly what he was looking for.
So Bennis with 10 strikeouts is 1 out away from getting out of the 7th inning. And he faces Rob Ducey, who's had a fine day today. 2 out of 3 with an RBI. Things getting dicey in Chicago, where the Cubs trail the Astros 5-2. Mark Grace and manager Jim Riggleman ejected by umpire Eric Gregg, umpiring at first base today. They argued a foul ball call at Wrigley Field. 2 balls, no strikes. Arizona with a big lead.
You know, we've said all game long about the 2 starters today, very similar in mechanics and pitch grip.
High pop down the left field line. Will it stay in play for Gonzalez? No, it won't.
Well, both of them use split finger grips for their changeups. As we mentioned earlier, one of the things that Mark Connors was trying to work with Andy Bennis was that he was throwing his changeup too hard. He was in about 83, 84 miles. Now, here is Bennis's changeup grip, and he says he'll change his thumb on it occasionally up in this way or down, depending on how it's coming out of his hand. But this gives you a tumbling one. Now, here's Schilling. See how close they are? Only Schilling's fingers are closer together.
Right through there. It's 2-2 to Rob Ducey.
It's amazing how guys come up with grips that make pitches do things that only works for them. Now you can see this is a split finger grip he sets to begin with. Most pitchers do that.
2-2, just missed. Count runs full, 3-2. Anderson and Sefcik will be off to the races with 2 outs here and a full count due. Three balls, 2 strikes. Andy Bennis over the 120 pitch mark delivers. He lost him and he loads the bases. So here's Abreu. And I think that's going to be it for Bennis. It will be. He can't get through the 7th. A double switch is coming for Buck Showalter. The pitcher's spot to up second in the 8th inning. We'll take a break. Dan Plesac's going to come in, as will Travis Lee. Back to Philly in a moment. 10 strikeouts, only 1 run, 5 hits in 6 innings and 2/3 today. He has qualified for his 7th win, but 37-year-old left-hander Dan Plesac will have to help out the D-backs, as will first baseman Travis Lee. He checks into the game, batting in the number 9 spot. Plesac bats 6th, and he'll face Abreu with the bases loaded here in the 7th.
Danny Plesac's been around for a while. He was a closer with Milwaukee. You can see his numbers. This will be his 50th game. 1 save, more hits in innings pitched, but he's a tough left-hander. He's a veteran. He knows what it is. In the latter part of the game, they went out to get him because they needed experience in the bullpen and to shut things down the latter part of the game.
Abreu, the batter, with the bases loaded, and he swings at the first pitch. This happened to the Phillies back in the 1st inning. They had the bases loaded, 2 outs. Lieberthal also swung at the first pitch, with Bennis struggling with his control, and he popped out to end the inning. We'll see if Abreu can exercise a little bit of patience here. He's got a grand slam in his career. 1 here would make it real interesting. It's 8-1 Diamondbacks. 1 ball, 1 strike. Greg Olson warming up in the Arizona pen with Rolen waiting on deck.
That last pitch, that arm angle with that low breaking ball, that is what a manager's looking for from a left-hander coming in to face a left-handed hitter. Now, Bobby Abreu can use this whole field. He'll take that ball low and away and shoot it the other way if you're not careful.
Tried to pull that one, though, and he missed it. 1-2.
Now, remember, Plesac's a big guy, 6'5", and he's coming from the side, and he's throwing that side wheel and breaking ball. It's tough for a left-hander to stay in. But if you remember, the Diamondbacks team, hooked up with the Dodgers early this season and lost some heartbreakers because their bullpen could not hold it. They went out and they said, we're going to fix this bullpen. That's what we need to go to postseason.
They got Matt Manti. The pitch, broken bat, bouncing ball up the middle. It's not in time. The throw off the glove of Fox at second. Bell made a heck of a play to get to it, and had Fox been able to hang on, they would have gotten Ducey at second base. But Abreu drives in the 2nd run of the game for the Phillies, an infield base hit and an RBI. A 2 game, and the base is still full of Phillies.
Well, this is a nice effort defensively. Almost made the play. Really, this is a tough play. See a former shortstop going the other way, kind of going as though he were going in a hole at shortstop. By playing second, he had to throw back to the base. Got to give credit to Bobby Abreu. It just looked bad on a sidearm breaking ball, and then he stayed on the next thing and used the middle of the field and made something happen.
Well, now real problems for the Diamondbacks. Here's Scott Rolen, an 0-for-3 day today. Phillies down 6, 8-2 in the 7th. Rolen with 25 home runs, and Olson might be summoned here. Buck Showalter looking down to the bullpen. Indeed, that will be the case. Plesac faces one man, cannot get him out. Bases still full of Phillies, and here comes Greg Olson. In the major leagues is Terry Francona, but his young team as well has not been fazed by this playoff pressure.
We just try to play as good as we can because we got a lot of guys, including myself, that are in kind of uncharted waters. Never been here before. We're starting to play good. 2 years ago, they were comparing us to the 64 or 62 Mets. That was a whole lot of fun. And now we're getting a little better, and it's enjoyable to come to the ballpark thinking we got to win tonight because we got to get closer to that wild card rather than, oh boy, they're comparing us to the worst team in the history of baseball. That's not a lot of fun.
But playing like this late sure is fun, and that guy has a lot of fun. I think he's perfect manager for this young bunch of players here in Philadelphia. He's almost like their big brother.
You know, he's got some great experience in this game, too. He's a backup player. He can relate to his bench people, and you can see the wild card standings. These guys are very much in it. But you're right. You remember he managed in the minors for the White Sox, and one of his players was Michael Jordan. And he was terrific with Jordan. Here was a guy trying to switch sports in a very difficult situation. Terry had been through all sorts of difficult times, but he's got a great personality, and these guys can relate to him. They really like him.
Here's Greg Olson, who was the closer for this Arizona ball club. He was 11 for 17, though, in save situations. He recorded 30 saves last year for the Diamondbacks. They were counting on him to be as good in '99 as he was in '98. He hasn't been, so they traded for Matt Manti. But here in the 7th, he's got to bail out Bennis and Plesac. 8-2, his Arizona Diamondbacks lead in the 7th inning. And Rolen, the batter. The pitch. Ripped down the left field line. That ball hung right up there, and he yanked it out of play.
Well, Greg Olson was originally an all-star. If you remember, he's one of those first guys ever drafted out of college who was a closer in college. Specifically, #1 pick, drafted by Baltimore to close games. He was an all-star in 1990. His best pitch was a straight-down curveball, which is a tough one to control. Then he hurt himself. It took him a while to come back. He had 30 saves last year, but that big breaking curveball can get you in trouble at times if you can't get it over.
The 0-1. Swung right through it. It's 0-2.
Now, that was a good live fastball he put right on Scott Rowland's hands. And now you might see the nasty curveball that he has, or he might go to another fastball, not knowing in this situation how he'll go. But he's got a strange-looking delivery. He's kind of closed up. His front foot is closer to third base, and he looks like he's stepping right at the right-handed hitter.
The 2-strike pitch. Just missed.
There's that curveball. That is a nasty, what they call 12-6 curveball, straight down. That was his bread and butter pitch, but when he hurt himself, you know, that takes a lot of arm strength to break that, snap that breaking ball off. But early this year, he got hurt so badly on home runs. He got behind in the count, or he would leave a pitch up in the zone and they mashed him.
1-2 with the bases loaded to Rolen. The pitch is inside. 2-2.
So now, if you're the catcher, Kelly Stinnett, you got the bases loaded, and you're in a situation now you got cushion for one more curve, another breaking ball, and it would be right here. The 3-2, you don't want to take a chance of walking people, bringing another run, putting another runner on. So if you're going to see a breaking ball at all, it might be right here.
Olson sets. Now the pitch. Ripped out of play.
Well, that was a fastball, and you could see Olson shake off Kelly Stinnett. Kelly gave breaking ball. So you're looking percentages. If you're sitting behind a plate trying to call a game, you're saying, well, how do I go here? I don't want to put him in a situation where he's got to throw a pitch right over, like get me over curveball. That's the one that sails out of the ballpark. So if you're going to call it, it would be right here. If not, you try to spot your fastball.
Sefcik at third. Ducey at second. Abreu at first. The pitch. Again, Rolen rips it back behind home plate.
You know, the more pitches that you give a hitter, especially a good hitter like this, the chance to time the pitches is when you get hurt. It used to worry me as a manager or as a coach or as a catcher even. If a hitter at the plate kept fouling my best pitches off, I'm going, uh-oh, what happens if we make a little bit of a mistake because he's had time to see them all?
Rowland getting much better cuts against Olson. The 2-2 pitch. Here she is. He's coached a full count. 3-2. Batman has seen this before. Batman would like to see Rowland park one here. Bases loaded. 3-2 count. 2 outs in the 7th. 8-2 Diamondback lead. Greg Olson ready. So's Rowland. The pitch. Ripped straight back again. He's getting another good cut.
Remember we talked about Olson's delivery where his front foot is closed. You call this a closed delivery, like you call a closed stance for a hitter. Well, what it does is it keeps his fastball low and into Rowland. He has not given him anything out over the plate. All the fastballs that he has thrown have been from the middle in and mostly down and in. That's what a sinker baller will do.
9th pitch in this confrontation between Rowland and Olson. He sets. Runners go. He fires, and it's fouled straight back again.
Very interesting. Now, that ball was closer to the middle of the plate. Now, Greg Olson's throwing the ball pretty hard. That was 92 miles an hour. Here's the pitch. Now, watch where it is. It's closer to the middle of the plate, and when you see the ball fouled straight back, you say, uh-oh, the hitter's starting to get a little closer to it. This would be a great time if you felt you could get an off-speed pitch over after showing all those fastballs, but I don't know if he feels that confident. What do you say? Do you go with your best pitch or try to fool the hitter?
Again, the 3-2. Swung. High fly ball. Shallow center and playable for Finley. He's got it, and Olson puts out the fire in the 7th. Rowland flies out with the bases loaded, and the Phillies settle for 1. They trail at 8-2. Stays in the game. He'll play left field. And longtime minor leaguer right-hander Steve Shrink comes on and becomes the 3rd Philadelphia hurler on the day. You know about this guy. You had him with the White Sox, right?
I want to tell you something. It's so many years ago now. He was just a kid. You can see he's done a good job since he's come up here. He was just a kid in the White Sox organization.
First pitch swinging is to net. Pop up third base side. Rowland. That's the glove. 1 pitch, 1 out.
And 10 years ago, his little boy was very sick when he was first born. And I can still remember the major leaguers on the White Sox taking up a collection to send it to a minor league player in their organization. That really showed me something. He was playing at South Bend at the time, and he was a young kid with no money. And I give him a lot of credit. I saw him yesterday. It's the first time I've seen him in years for hanging around, staying around, being persevering enough to play a game he loves this long.
Here's Travis Lee. A high fly ball belted toward left. Sefcik takes a look at the wall. Can't get it. Slams into the wall. And Lee into second with a double. Travis Lee sure has needed that. He's 1 for 34. Now 2 for his last 35, and that's the kind of shot that might wake up that young bat.
Well, this will certainly help as you see it going the other way. Sefcik just being put in the game. This is tough. You just get in the game, then you have one of the toughest plays an outfielder has, the ball right over his head. He's trying. You can see the sun glinting off his glasses, and he's trying to go back right near the wall. It's a tough play. His shoe came off underneath the wall, but you said that might be the shot that woke up his bat. The shot that Durazo hit out of the ballpark might have been one that woke up his bat, too.
I was thinking the same thing. So Lee's at second with 1 out, and Tony Womack the batter as the Diamondbacks look for that all-important 9th run.
There's Durazo on the bench thinking about the day he's had. Travis Lee really, though, has a beautiful swing. When I first saw him, and I know it's very difficult to compare somebody to somebody who's one of the best in the game, and Ken Griffey Jr., he has kind of the same setup with his head and with his wiggle of his bat, but he has certainly been struggling. He struggled the latter part of last season, too. He looked like the Rookie of the Year, one of the top Rookie of the Year candidates for most of the year.
Todd Helton and Caray Wood outpaced him in the National League. 2 balls and a strike to Womack, who has a pair of singles, a stolen base, and he has scored a run today. Phillies can't give Arizona any more. A broken bat. He just lined down a play, and it's 2-2 to Tony Womack. Bad lumber there. How many bats does a team take on the road with for a road trip for each player?
Wow, that's a good question. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know. It depends on the kind of hitters you have. There are a lot of hitters that break more bats than other people. There are some guys that whittle down the handle of their bat. I remember Don Baylor used to take a scraper and narrow and thin out a bat that you could almost snap over your fingers.
2-2 hit high in the air to straightaway right. Abreu battles the sun. Good setup. Lee, not blessed with very good speed. Stops at second, and Abreu has one of the great arms in baseball, and he shows it off.
Oh, boy. He threw a strike from right field to third base. I mean, a strike. If you stood up there, that was a strike.
He has a cannon. Perfect setup.
Watch this.
And look at the throw.
On the fly, and it just keeps carrying, and look at Roland Boom. If he had stayed on the base, it would have been a low strike.
I would like to see Abreu and Vladimir Guerrero
in a contest
from right field. That guy is unbelievable up in Montreal as Jay Bell stands in. 1 for 3 today. A 2-run homer in the first. Walked and scored in the 4-run Arizona 7. I mean, that was a beautiful throw by Abreu.
You know, I was a coach at one of the All-Star games, and I watched Dave Winfield, Dave Parker, and Andre Dawson throw from right field in pregame practice. I've never seen 3 arms like that all together.
That would make your third base coach a little bit nervous watching
Oh,
those guys.
my.
I remember the All-Star game when Parker threw out Brian Downing at the plate in Seattle in 1979. Remember that throw?
Mm-hmm.
Just a laser beam.
Is that Seattle?
It was out in Seattle.
Yes.
Kingdom.
Yep.
There's another drive deep down the left field line, but I think Bell might have pulled this one too far foul. He did. And he's down in the count 1-2.
You know, I take that back. I think one of those guys throwing was Ellis Valentine.
Well, they had that great outfield of Cromartie, Dawson, and Valentine up in Montreal. This might be the last year you call on the Montreal Expos. They've got serious problems up in Quebec. They still don't have their stadium situation straightened out. They still don't have their money situation straightened out. 2 baseball groups running the franchise at the same time, which causes a lot of friction. And a swing and a miss by Bell retires the Diamondbacks in the 8th. But the good story for them is Travis Lee rips a double to left, and after 7.5, they lead by 6. Very friendly to the Diamondbacks today. They lead it by a score of 8-2 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Rico Brogna leads it off for the fighting Phillies. Brogna today is 1 for 2. He has walked, he's singled. The Phillies have squandered some scoring opportunities they wish they had back right now. They've left 8 men on base, including the bases loaded twice. 5 of those 8 in scoring position today. These were the top 2 scoring teams in the National League. Arizona scored 8 times, the Phillies just twice. Kurt Schilling pitched for the first time in 15 days today. Did not fare all that well. 7 earned runs in 6 innings and a third, victimized by 3 homers. Andy Bennis started for the Diamondbacks. He struck out 10 Phillies in 6 2/3 innings for Arizona. And a line drive hit toward left, and a diving stab by Gonzalez in left. He makes a fine play, and there's out number 1.
This is a hanging breaking ball. As you can see, Brogna hit the breaking ball and line it to left field, and Luis Gonzalez went after this thing on a semi-slide and backhand. A lot of outfielders wouldn't in this game, wouldn't even have tried for that. They'll play safe behind it with the lead that they have, but Gonzalez is, you know, he's also one of the nicest guys that anybody's ever met in this game. but he works so hard to be better as a player.
Lieberthal takes outside. Luis also very blessed off the field. He and his wife have triplets.
How about that?
A boy and 2 girls.
Somebody I know is going to have twins.
Yes, indeed. The pitch. Here's a check swing foul. Yep, my wife Susan and I are expecting twins at the end of the baseball season. And it's twin boys. We got the official word yesterday.
Really?
Twin boys, both of them boys.
Outstanding. Pitcher and a catcher.
Well, I'm just hoping, well, I don't know about the catcher park. I'm just praying they're both left-handed. Here's Lieberthal. And that's upstairs to the Philly backstop. 2 balls and a strike. Fans around baseball may not be all that familiar with this guy's game, but if he keeps hitting 300 with power and high RBI numbers, sooner or later they're going to know who Mike Lieberthal is. He is terrific. And that in there for a strike 2 called, 2-2.
I know one thing, his manager sure appreciates him. Terry Francona yesterday was talking not only about what he's done offensively, but what he's done with his pitching staff and how he blocks the ball in the dirt, calls a good game, throws well.
A little looping fly ball again to left. Gonzalez charges over. Finley gets there first, and Steve puts it away for out number 2. Here's what the Phillies skipper Terry Francona had to say about his young all-star backstop.
2 years in a row, he's had some injuries where he's got nicked up. You know, to do what he's doing, he's producing offensively. He's catching as good as anybody in the league, blocking balls. He's learned how to call a game. That's probably been the best thing that's happened to our ball club is the emergence of Leby, the way he's caught.
Last year, he hit just .246 for the Phillies, but he did hit 20 home runs. Excuse me, that was 97 when he did that. And he has emerged as a budding young superstar. And I think those numbers are second to just Pudge Rodriguez of Texas. And that's pretty good company. Anderson, the hitter for the Phillies. He singled and scored the 2nd run back in the bottom of the 7th inning. Phillies trail at 8-2. Diamondbacks look to extend their lead out west. They lead the Giants by 3.5 games. It should be 4.5 when this day is done, for Atlanta is crushing San Francisco 15-4. The Giants jumped out to an early 3-0 lead.
You know, I was thinking about Lieberthal. I remember when he was drafted #1 by the Phillies, and there were a lot of critics in baseball said, well, they took a very small catcher. He's only 5'10". He only weighed about 160 pounds in high school, but he has developed into a heck of a backstop.
Well, think about who they were comparing him to. Darren Dalton?
Yes.
And that's a comparison that at that time would have made anybody look like a less than valuable player. Darren Dalton at that time was one of the great players in all of baseball. That '93 National League Championship team that surprised the Atlanta Braves and lost, unfortunately, for Philadelphia fans to Toronto in the World Series on that heart-stopping Joe Carter homer against Mitch Williams.
Boy, Darren Dalton, for a guy, when I was managing the other dugout, I hated to see him come up. The guy was such a clutch player. He was such a leader in the clubhouse. When he went from the Phillies down to the Marlins, he immediately became the leader of the Marlins. They become world champions, and a major part of that was his leadership in the clubhouse.
3-2 is hit high in the air, deep toward right. Back goes Womack, shy of the track. He has it, and the Phillies fly to left, center, and right. They fly out for the cycle in the 8th and trail at 8-2. Top of the 9th inning, and Scott Aldred takes over for the Phillies, their 4th pitcher on the afternoon. Aldred, formerly of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
You can see this will be his 44th game, but it's interesting when you read about, he set a major league record. He went 50 appearances without recording a win, a loss, or a save. How do you do that?
That's like being the last pick in the NFL draft. You're Mr. Irrelevant.
I think probably what has happened, he is especially left-hander. They bring him for left-handed hitters, and he's been very effective against left-handers. And, of course, the first man he'll face is Luis Gonzalez, a left-hander.
Leading off the 9th for the Diamondbacks. Luis has scored twice today. A double back in the 1st. Then reached on a Bronya error in the 7th and came around on the Matt Williams 3-run 7th-inning homer. D-backs got 3 in the first, 1 in the fourth, 4 in the 7th. 3 home runs today, the story. Andy Bennis pitched a gem, struck out a season-high tying 10 men, giving up just 2 runs in 6 innings and 2/3, and the Diamondbacks could have a 4.5 game lead over the Giants in just another inning of play.
There was just a shot of watching Matt Williams on deck. You talk about hitters getting ready to hit. He's on the on-deck circle, not very far from the batter's box, getting as though he's hitting against the pitcher. Now, years ago, I saw Rusty Staub do that in Shea Stadium in preparation to go up and hit against Don Drysdale. Don Drysdale threw one over his head, his last warm-up pitch, and Dusty's helmet, bat, everything went the other way.
Ground ball hit toward Marlon Anderson at second. He has trouble for a moment, flips it to first. Well, that was exactly what happened in college baseball this year. Ben Christensen, the kid from Wichita State, hit the young man Molina from Evansville. He was 24 feet from home plate. The ball hit him horribly in the eye, caused all kinds of damage to that youngster's vision. And Christensen was a draft pick of the Cubs. Matt Williams, the batter. And he fouls it back for strike 1. And Dante Powell moves into the on-deck circle. He will bat in Finley's spot. 1 away in the 9th.
Now, we've talked so much in our telecast and watched guys making adjustments in what they do as hitters. You can see Matt Williams has opened his stance up. And we say open his stance, it means for a right-handed hitter, your left foot is farther away from the plate. But this is the way Matt Williams hit with the Giants and with the Indians. And he changed his stance a little bit last year, closing up a little, and he didn't feel as comfortable. Now he's got his left foot away from the plate a little bit. See how he keeps working it away? There it is, way out.
And then he strides into that pitch. You know, they had a great story in the Sporting News this week about the different stances of guys like Mel Ott, George Brett, Tony Gwynn, Jeff Bagwell. Everybody has their own unique style in that batter's box. But if you took a freeze frame picture of every one of those guys at contact, I'll bet they all looked very similar.
All the successful
Head down,
ones, yes.
arms extended. It's how you look when you get to contact.
You can see how he's got an open stance, and then he brings the foot back to the plate. He lifts it first, and it comes back to the plate. Everybody does a little bit differently. But you're right. By the time you get to the launch position, they're all the same place. The launch position is where the bat is back over their shoulder. They can start with their hands real high, the way, say, Yastrzemski did, or Juan Gonzalez hits. You know, you see a lot of guys with the bat way up around their head, but when they go and that front foot hits, the hands are right in the launch position. A right-hander would be right over their right shoulder. But Matt Williams, you can see, has his own little isms with his chin on his chest and also with his toe. He gets up on his toe.
He fouls that one straight back, 3-2. 72nd on the all-time home run list. Matt Williams with 324 of them. And he was a great acquisition by the Diamondbacks. They traded Travis Fryman to the Indians to get Matt Williams. And he hits a high fly ball into shallow right. Abreu has some trouble with the sun. Now finds the baseball. And there's out number 2. Williams very happy to be home. His children live in the Valley of the Sun. He's reunited with them. But more than anything else, Matt Williams just wants to win.
You know, I hate losing at cards. I hate losing at anything. You know, that's probably where it comes from. I want to win, and there's no better feeling to win. Been fortunate enough to play in the World Series twice, but come up on the losing end, and certainly want to get back there and experience that other side.
So that begs the question, do these guys have enough to experience the other side, not just getting to the World Series, but winning 4 of those ball games?
I think they might. I really think they might. They've got Todd Stottlemyre out in rehab, and he pitched recently and had the ball in the 90s. He was throwing in the 90s. If they bring him along, and he is an unbelievable competitor.
He's due to go August 20th, by the way, against the Pirates in his return to the big leagues. There's nothing wrong with the starting pitching of this Arizona ball club. I mean, you throw out a Randy Johnson, you throw out Andy Bennis, you throw out a healthy Todd Stottlemyre. They have Brian Anderson, Armando Reynoso, Omar Dahl. who's been magnificent for them.
And they've got a terrific bench as well. When you can bring off today Travis Lee, Dante Powell can fly. This is a kid they got from the Giant organization. Greg Colburn can flat out hit. Bernard Gilkey can do everything.
Another pop-up right side. And another chance for Abreu. Flips the shades down, puts it away. And Aldred works a 1-2-3 ninth. We go to the bottom half. Phillies need 6 to tie. Venice, 2 relievers, and on to their new closer, Matt Manti, who has been terrific since coming over from the Florida Marlins in what was a very expensive trade, but one that we mentioned earlier the Diamondbacks felt they had to make. Greg Olson was faltering. They got Manti, a young, flame-throwing right-hander, to close out games for them for the next couple of years to come.
Now look at those numbers, 64 strikeouts in 35 innings. I mean, this guy can really get it up there. They're working on a breaking ball. He's had a little problem with his breaking ball, but nothing wrong with his fastball.
And why, you ask, is he in a game like this with the D-backs up 6? His last appearance, July 30th. He hasn't pitched in over a week. He saved 8 games in 9 tries, including 7 in a row. This is not a save situation to lead to great. Dante Powell stays in the game. He plays center field for Steve Finley, who, as Jeff mentioned, has that bulging disc in his back. And any extra time you can give him off on this artificial surface is a real benefit for Finley. Line to Matt Williams at third. And there's one man out. Believe it or not, Matt Manti now with 8 saves is second on the all-time Diamondback save list.
Well, they talk about third base being a hot corner. Just envision yourself being there with this bullet hit at you. What a nice play. You've got to react at third base. You got no chance to not be alert there. Boy, you've got, and that ball was hit hard. You see Cedeno shaking his head. He's happy to put that ball in play against a guy that throws as hard as Manti, and then he's out.
Sefcik walked in his first appearance. How about that? Manti acquired a couple of weeks ago with 8 saves, the second all-time savior on the Diamondback roster. He's 33 behind Greg Olson, though. A swing and a miss.
Well, the fact that they have Manti now really sets up their bullpen in roles. Now, of course, they went and got Dan Plesac, and you can see what he's done. And this is Matt Manti we're speaking about in the 9 games. This is his 10th game. 8 saves. He lost the first game that he went out there to try to save. And you can imagine what he was thinking about. And that was a Randy Johnson game. Can you imagine him coming over from the Marlins, getting in a new club, and then blowing the first save? He had to feel awful. But he certainly turned it around. Randy, of course, having an unbelievable year for Buck Showalter. But Buck's got to feel a lot more confident the way his bullpen is now.
Little pop right side. Tough play. Bell out. Can't get it. It falls safely into right field. A bloop single by Sefcik gives the Phillies some 9th inning hope. And now here comes the top of the order. Our producer of today's game in Philadelphia is Caroline McDermott. Our game directed by Ray Tipton. Our associate director is Kathy Hunt. Our broadcast associate, Jordy Wimmer. Our lead tape operator is Tom Hayes. And our master of mathematics, Marty Aronoff. Our AD, the lovely, talented Becky Solomon. Our pregame coordinating producer, Scott Ackerson. The pregame produced by Gary Lang and directed by Bob Levy. Our senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown, and the executive producers of Fox Sports are David Hill and Ed Gorin. Doug Glanville, the batter. He singled and scored in the 5th. That made it a 3-1 ball game. But the Phillies have squandered 8 men left on base, 5 of them at second or third base in this game.
You know, you talked about Manti coming out here just to get some work. It's not a save situation. Obviously, they want to win the ball game, but I have seen closers. Now, maybe he's too young to feel this way. I've seen closers come in a game where they know there's no save opportunity, and it's like their adrenaline is not flowing, and they get smacked around.
Jose Mesa is a perfect example for Seattle. When the game's on the line, he's been terrific, but when the game's been like this, he's been crushed, and he has a very high ERA as a result.
Yep. I have seen that happen with the great ones, Goose Gossage, Dave Righetti, Dave LaRoche, Bobby Thigpen. They just weren't the same pitchers.
Ground ball toward third. 5-4. On to first. 3 double play, and the ball game is over. The Arizona Diamondbacks have evened the series, winning today by a final score of 8-2. Buck Showalter's ball club, Jeff, poised now for a 4.5-game lead in the National League's Western Division. Thanks for joining us from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. For Jeff Torborg and our entire crew, this is Chip Caray saying so long from Philadelphia. Now let's go back to Keith Olbermann and Steve Psycho Lyons in the Fox Network Center.